What's up, guys? Tambo here with your weekly core report. With the holidays almost behind us, we're finishing the year strong with some big hits. Let's get to the winners. Christmas brought us 2 days worth of NFL slates over the weekend, and our members took advantage of it. IPT 007 hit for $2,100. The Guru won $5,500. Oaktown Daily Crusher shipped on 2 separate showdown slates, winning over $40K. Elsewhere in NFL, we're in Best Ball Finals week. Congrats to all our members and contributors who advanced. We'll be covering the final results in next week's core report. In the NBA streets, our members' hot streak continued as well. Dr. Lucky 7 hit for $4,500. Shawnee Wins won $7K. Sweet Boy hit for $23K. And Bossolini 1 topped it off with a $50K shipper in Showdown. Congrats again to all our members. If you want to be featured in the core report, drop your winning lineup in the Winner's Circle channel in our premium Discord. If you're not a member, join now. You won't find a better value with all sports included for one low price. And while you're watching, hit that like button now. Remember, if you're not winning with us, you're watching us win. Till next time, let's keep running pure. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, aka Toe Tag and Tambo. We're back. We made it. First show of the new year. Happy New Year to all those out there. No, I noticed a little slower start this week. That's okay. Might be a little hungover. Might be still drinking in some cases. If you are and watching this show, kudos to you. Awesome time. Let's have a good Sunday. Big 13-game slate ahead, so excited for this one. A lot to get into. Got my guys here as always. We're back. JT Hayes, AP, and I'm sure JT Hayes has some crazy New Year's Eve story, the Georgia win, all of that. So, AP, I'm going to start with you. You're more my style, right? Wife, kids, we got family. How was your New Year's, buddy? How you doing this Sunday?
Yeah, it was good. It was a lot of fun. Went over to some friends, had a good time, and still feeling it a little bit. But man, I'm still up early. It's what we do. We go have fun, but we're still always gonna grind. So we had a good time. No crazy stories though. How about those games last night? Those games were insane. They were awesome, man. I'm not like the biggest college football guy, but that was a ton of fun to watch. Except for the Big Ten. The Big Ten is a joke, man. Absolute joke. What a bad showing.
I'm the same as you when it comes to that, but it's the same thing like when people make fun of the World Cup and the soccer. When that comes around, it's just a different vibe. When this playoff setup comes up, it's new. I know there was some hatred around it and some people, it's not going to work and these teams shouldn't be there and all that. And then you just get that. But we got no excuses here. You guys know what the mantra is. JT Hayes, you perked up a little bit when he said, how about those games last night? So tell us about the games, man. Tell us about your New Year's Eve, and then we'll get into the grand scheme of things and get into this slate.
Yeah, certainly a better Saturday night than I started my day off on Friday. I was on the Friday NBA show, and I had to tell the story that I started my Friday morning off by accidentally killing a squirrel. So definitely a better night last night. Go Dogs. But Ohio State came to play, man. I mean, you hang 41 on the Georgia Bulldogs and you're doing something right. Georgia should have lost that game. So happy to escape. And as AP says, it's rise and grind. So excited to be on the first show of 2023 at Run Pure Sports.
Yeah, it's going to be a great year ahead. We've got lots of big things. If you guys aren't a member yet, now is the time to sign up. We still got last couple of weeks here of NFL at runpuresports.com. We've got PGA coming up. You guys know that's near and dear to my heart. We've got a full new content schedule. You guys can check it out here on the video. It's a lot of the same, but then we added more. AP is going to do a heat map in the back end to coincide with the other sports that we do. We've got the Wednesday premium show now, Hoop, myself, and Big T. The only way to get that, ownership, projections, roster construction, all the things that most people out there ask us about and or struggle with, we'll have all that for you guys covered. So if you're not signed up yet, now's the time. runpuresports.com. If you can't sign up or you don't want to sign up just yet, do us a favor then. These shows will always be free. Hit that like button. Help us out with that. We're going to aim. It's New Year's Day, so we're going to be a little bit lighter. We'll aim for 500 and then go a little bit harder as we get closer, depending on how the viewership is. But AP, I'm going to come back to you, man. 13-game slate. It's not quite the same as last week. In that last week, we had all that weather to worry about. But there is one similarity in that last week with the weather, it led to one game being sort of the obvious spot. This week, it looks like with some of the motivation, the totals, the things like that, there is one game with a bigger total. So we'll talk about that. But give us your grand scheme overview, what you're seeing for this bigger slate, 13 games.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at it, and it really makes sense, but it looks like ownership is going to consolidate around one spot, two spots actually. So, Minnesota and Green Bay, and then obviously the dome game in the Bears and Lions. There's another dome game I actually really like. It'll be interesting to see what JT Hayes thinks, because there's a lot of points that are scored last night. Maybe, just maybe, that will carry on over to today. I mean, it's only listed right now at a 41 total. Hopefully they fly over that total, because I really like that game. But
I know you're talking about Arizona, Atlanta. You're talking about Arizona, Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, there's plays in there. Like, I think there's some really, really strong options in that game. So
we'll see. I'm just surprised you brought it up. But hey, you know what, AP? As we like to say, it's a great tournament slate. So that's a great option that we've got over there in Arizona, Atlanta. JT Hayes, get your first thoughts on it, man, before we dive in position by position. What are you seeing out there, man? How's the slate shaping up for you today?
Yeah, it feels like a liar slate, right? Which coach is telling the truth? Which coach is lying? You've got Doug Peterson saying that he's going to play all his starters and he would never rest any starters absent an injury, and immediately gets called on that by the media because obviously he did that with the Philadelphia Eagles. It's going to be exactly that. Which coach can we trust the most? Which teams are going to play hard? You have some evidence here with Chicago and Detroit that these guys are going to play to win. Detroit's still mathematically alive, not really a good chance to go to the playoffs, but a chance nonetheless. And then other teams that, you talk about that Arizona-Atlanta game, and I'll get into that when we get to that game. Just overall thoughts on that. Kind of surprising to see DeAndre Hopkins out of nowhere, wasn't on the injury report, all of a sudden ruled out. What does that mean for the rest of that team? What are they going to do with a guy like James Conner? And as AP points out, the Minnesota-Green Bay game. Now, the concern with that, of course, is by the time that game starts, Philadelphia may already have knocked out Minnesota's chances to get the number one seed. So what's their motivation going in? It's going to be a day where I think you look at what are the projections going in to start the slate, and then maybe make some late swaps if you're in on some of those guys later that all of a sudden you think maybe they're not going to play as much.
Yeah, you broke it down pretty good there. One thing I will say about the Peterson thing, because this came up quite a bit throughout the week, so we could start there, and then AP, I'll come back to you. We'll talk some quarterbacks, but just in general, he did get called on it, like you said, JT, but he sounded pretty truthful about it in explaining the reasoning. I'm not sure if you saw the quotes after the fact of him getting asked about, but I mean, it did seem at least enough legit enough to me that I could trust it somewhat, because look, I'm not going necessarily all in, but in the larger fields and stuff like that, I'll definitely take shots, because his point was this is a younger group. It's not the final week. It's not a number one seed locked up. There's a lot of differences in the scenarios. And also, you sit these guys now, they got 1-2 weeks, next week they got to come back and play anyway. Maybe they're not as fresh. We've seen that happen in the past. So momentum is something big that he brought up. So I definitely think they're worth trusting a little bit. And I will say this, like we're skipping ahead here, AP. We're going to go back to quarterback in a second, but ETN at the start of the week was projected for a lot more than he is now. It's definitely come down. Again, other options have popped up, but at the same time, it's definitely these quotes and these situational items when it comes to motivation, and if they're putting guys out there that are putting that ownership down some. So I definitely don't hate going there or some other places like that on the slate. AP, I'll come back to you if you anything else you want to add with that. If not, we'll dive into quarterback. One last thing, though, I forgot to mention this off the top. We never give much love to FanDuel because it's not necessarily reciprocated. We don't get a lot of love from over there. But I will say this, at least the last time I looked, just a quick note to everybody, FanDuel did not take Pittsburgh, Baltimore off of their slate. So they do not have the Chargers and the Rams game. They have the Pittsburgh and the Baltimore game, even though it's at night and it got flexed in, versus DraftKings did the proper thing and fixed it. So just a note there, if you are looking on both sites, not like I love a bunch of plays in either of those games to necessarily get after it, but let's say we talk about Akers at running back, you can play him on DraftKings. You're not playing him on FanDuel. He's not on the slate. So just a note there, AP, I'll bring it over to you, man. We've got the Detroit-Chicago game is highlighting things with Goff and Fields. You got Aaron Rodgers going up against the porous Minnesota secondary. But again, JT Hayes brought up some points there. And then also you've got after that sort of a mishmash of Daniel Jones, Patrick Mahomes, just different guys. But you know how it is. It always balances out. What are your first thoughts, AP, when it comes to this quarterback position?
Yeah, it seems like Goff is going to be extremely, extremely high owned, like maybe approaching 20%. It's just there's so many quarterbacks I think on the slate that a lot of people are going, including myself, are gonna just cross out, and which means like I see Jared Goff, Justin Fields kind of leading the way ownership wise, followed by Aaron Rodgers. Like the Justin Fields thing, I think is just naturally people are going to talk themselves into, hey, like let's get leverage on Goff by going Fields. That's something I did. I mean, Fields also had just the rushing upside, such a good environment in a dome, already put up a 40 piece on this Lions team earlier this season. So, I mean, those are the two guys that are going to get a lot of ownership. Outside of that, man, it's interesting. Like Gardner Minshew looked good last week. You have, I mean, it does get kind of tough. Like I'm not playing Kirk Cousins. I'm not playing Tom Brady. Mike White is somewhat interesting. I think the matchup is good. He's cheap. A nice direct pivot off of Jared Goff. I don't know if I can get there, though. I keep getting back to Justin Fields. I love the game environment. My thing is like, I love the idea of just like a Fields and run it back with like a Amon-Ra St. Brown, the wide receiver number one on the other team. And let me explain why like I'm doing that. There's a lot of other plays out here that I like in other games, a lot of value options. I don't feel comfortable at all with any pairing with Fields outside of maybe Cole Kmet. There's other tight ends I like, though, a little bit better. And then on the Lions side, I mean, man, you can run on the Bears. The Lions right now deploying a three horse running back situation there. They also have a lot of receivers. So it's like when you're thinking about touchdowns and the variance that's going to come with it in this game, I feel very comfortable with Amon-Ra, with his targets, obviously double digits, like almost all season long. He doesn't have a ton of touchdowns on the season relative to like the targets that he's getting. So he's kind of gotten unlucky in that area. I think he gets in the box this week, though. And I think he leads the way, potentially maybe the highest scoring wide receiver on the slate, too. And then Fields, man, I could just see him running for a ton here, like we all can. And I could see him rushing in for a touchdown. And but then when it comes to touchdowns, man, you got Khalil Herbert back. You got David Montgomery. There's just so many different ways to get it done in this game. So I actually love the idea of Fields naked, but with a run back of the opposing team's wide receiver one. So that's like my favorite route on the slate, like as a base starting route to start my builds with. Outside of that, man, so JT Hayes, I got to kick it over to you because maybe you got to talk me off a ledge here. But then I started looking at some Desmond Ridder stacks. Maybe it's egregious. Maybe it's way, way, way too out there, but he's 5K. This looks to be maybe one of those spots where, like, if you look at Ridder and the matchups he's had, you could say two arguably tougher matchups. The Baltimore game was outside. I think it was pretty nasty there. The weather wasn't ideal. But he wasn't bad. Completed 67% of his passes, 218 yards, still no touchdowns on the season. I think that changes today. I think the Falcons actually put up some points against the Cardinals here. And I think the Cardinals are going to be able to respond. So that's one reason why I like that game. I think in tournaments, large field tournaments, I'm going to run some Ridder stacks with Drake London, run it back with Greg Dortch. When you do that, because London's 4.9K, Dortch 3K, you can fit all the studs. You can get all the studs you want. So that's a route that I'm looking at as well this week.
Yeah, I love that route. I don't think as many people are on it. I haven't heard anyone talking about it, really. It's just starting to pop late, so see how many get there. But like you said, it's all about how cheap they are. I prefer that side. He's put up almost 10 DK points in two tough matchups. Ridder, that I'm talking about here. We like London at 4,900. The guy's been getting all of his work, all the targets, all the yardage. Here's the thing. We talk about this every week, and we go back and forth on it. I've hammered it last week on this show. If you think London gets there, then Ridder likely comes with him. If London finally gets in the box once, or maybe you get lucky and he gets in twice, but let's just take the 8 catches, the 100 yards, and the touchdown. That's really good for Ridder at his price tag. Dortch on the other side, it's a way to use some of the chalk and be different with it. And now you can pound all the rest of the points in there. And if we only see floor outcomes from those guys, you hopefully have those 4 to 5 other ceiling pieces that you built in and hope that they hit. So a lot of ways to get there going that route. I don't hate it. I'm not as high on the Justin Fields side. I'll be honest. I know he's half the ownership, but he's also $2,300 more. The chat talked about it. Like AL Money says, he don't need to do much. He had 43 points with 160 pass yards. Yeah, exactly. How do you think he got there? It wasn't 160 pass yards. He does need to do a lot. Is he capable? Absolutely. He's Justin Fields. It's in a dome. The matchup's incredible. I think the price matters. We'll have to see. Like I said, he needs a lot on the ground. He needs to steal those touchdowns. It's later in the season. He's a little bit banged up. They have Montgomery. They have Herbert. Look what Carolina did last week and just ran all over them too. That could be that. The Foreman Hubbard could be Montgomery Herbert this week. And then Fields takes his few designed runs. And if he doesn't take them for 60 to the house, like we've been accustomed to, think you're in big trouble at 7,900. Just my 2 cents. But JT Hayes, I'll bring it over to you, man. What are your thoughts here at this quarterback position?
I could definitely get on board a little bit more with Ritter than playing David Blau. I mean, they just don't have any weapons there. If we're talking about Greg Dortch as his primary weapon, and remember, Dortch is likely to get AJ Terrell coverage. I know he's 3K. He's fine. I just don't think I can get there with Blau. With Ritter, at least he has a couple of big weapons. He's got the running backs that can catch passes. He's got Drake London, who I think is in another great spot. Finally, the end of the season, we're waiting for this all year out of the Falcons. They decide to pepper their best player. Right now, the best player on the team is Drake London, and they're finally getting him the target. So I can see that paying off because, honestly, if we're looking at this slate, if we're looking at the players on this slate, does it seem like we're going to see a bunch of very popular ceiling plays? It doesn't, because we're not sure exactly what's going to happen in terms of usage in some of these games. So with the Justin Fields take, Tambo, you mentioned it, right? What Carolina did last week. Here we are last week saying, well, we think maybe Detroit has fixed their rushing game problems. They didn't fix anything at all. So I think Justin Fields can run all over this defense. It's just a matter, like you said, of how you want to build your roster. If I'm rostering Justin Fields and he locks me into guys like Dortch and these Texans receivers, is that the best roster construction? Right now, I tend to think that it's not. The other guy down low, of course, Goff is in a great spot. Can't argue. Detroit, best spot for opposing quarterbacks is against the Chicago Bears on this slate. I think Goff is in a smash spot today. I also like Daniel Jones, who I don't think is getting a lot of ownership. He's playing the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts have ruled out most of their primary defensive pieces. They're going nowhere. They have zero motivation to play for, and the Giants have everything to play for with a playoff spot still on the line. And then when you get to the Green Bay, Minnesota game, look, it's tough to click on Aaron Rodgers' name. It really is. But Green Bay has motivation. Green Bay can still technically get into the playoffs. And last week, Aaron Rodgers on the Millie Maker winner, granted, it was a 3-game slate with just 16 points. I don't know. It's a tough click, but I think he's in play as well.
Yeah, one thing I'll say about Rodgers, and I'll come back to AP here, is just the thought around that is he's only got 21 points once. It's almost all the quarterbacks that face Minnesota were in that same boat until they faced Minnesota, and then all of a sudden they got 25 to 30. So can he do it? Yes. The other thing is it sets up with, we're waiting on the Watson news, but if Watson's in or out, you've got still a pretty limited target tree there that I think if you set it up with the injury. Now, if he's in, it makes it a little bit tougher because then it's Watson, Dobbs, Lazard, Cobb, got the 2 running backs. It makes it a little tougher. So one thing I did look at, guys, is just taking Rodgers, picking a guy. Like you can go Rodgers, Watson with Cook or with Jefferson and just set it up that game in like a smaller mini stack. And if Watson, for whatever reason, is ruled out, you can swap him to Lazard pretty easily. Or you can go to, if you get the news early enough, you could go to Garrett Wilson, who's also in the afternoon if you like him. We'll talk about all that, but just the point being, you don't have to go nuts with it here. Now, a couple guys that weren't mentioned that I want to talk about. One was, AP mentioned Mike White. I like him. I think it's a good pivot there. One thing I will say, though, about him, I want to overstack him. So I want him with 2 Jets. I want someone from the other side, whether it's Lockett, Metcalf, Fant with no Disley. I want to overstack the spot because I think some of those plays are popping, but not everyone's putting it all together to just be the spot. If that ends up being the game, it's not super likely with these other games we have on the slate, but we've definitely seen where sometimes you get 2 sort of mediocre quarterbacks that can throw the ball around. Geno's had a decent season doing that, and you got Mike White for cheaper on the other side doing it, where you could see the game go back and forth. The other one, someone said bodyguard in the chat, Brock Purdy, 22 fantasy points today. I don't know if he's going to get 22, but I definitely think he can get up there. So I like him. We were waiting on the news. We got it. Debo was out, ruled out. So you've got Kittle getting all that production. I think CMC is going to get talked about when we go to running back. So if you want to leverage that up some, you can go Purdy with Ayuk or Jawan Jennings in the slot or Kittle. It's that simple. You're not play you can play McCaffrey with them, but I think the better way is just to leverage it and say Purdy to take with one or two other guys, and you don't have to run it back. You don't want to play that other side. You definitely don't have to. So I'm definitely doing that as well. And then just to polish it off, AP, and I'll come to you. Almost to 200 likes, by the way, guys, almost 700 watching. So hit the like button if you're just joining us on the way in. But the Jared Goff side, chalk or not, it's all how you build it out. You know, you can do it so many different ways. Chark. So this is what we talk about all the time. The quarterback ownership spread out. It's not this week. Goff is very popular, will be even more popular. The higher stakes, the smaller the field you go. Amon-Ra will be there with them. But then you can sort of shimmy down the ownership when you go to Komet, when you go to Chark, when you go, if you put David Montgomery in there on the other side. There's different ways you can shake it out to still make it different. And then the last thing, because we're going to segue anyway soon, was with Swift. People talking about the chat, how bad of a play he is. I always say this about Swift, but I'm only playing him in game stacks. I think the only way Swift gets there, I mean, Swift will drag along Goff. So if you got Swift, I don't really like a Swift with a Chicago guy. Could it work? Yes, to access pieces of that game, but I think Swift would drag along Goff. I think it's like Goff, Swift, Amon-Ra with Komet. That makes more sense to me. AP, kick it to you. Any other thoughts here at the quarterback position?
I mean, yeah, like no one, including myself, is going to like this this thought, I will say. But you know, just looking at that, we got Battle of LA in the afternoon window. No one's talking about this game. Rams, nothing to play for. Obviously, Justin Herbert and the Chargers, they've looked terrible, but they're not going to be owned, man. No one's going to play Justin Herbert. I haven't heard his name. The only time I hear his name, and I bitch about him all the time. He's been very, very hurtful all year long. But not too long ago, we were all on him. We were all stacking him up just a couple weeks ago. And now we're going to get what, like 2 to 3% ownership. You know, Mike Williams is going to be low owned. So like, if you want a very contrarian stack that has on paper a lot of upside, Herbert to Mike Williams to Keenan Allen. This game just, I don't know, it's kind of late popping there. Battle LA. I think it's the first time these two teams have played. You know, they're in LA. So I don't know, kind of interesting. I think in Millie Maker formats, like stacking that up, like a full on Chargers onslaught is going to be very contrarian, very low owned. Gives you some upside there. But outside of that, man, I don't think I'm getting too off the wall at the quarterback position.
You brought up Herbert, who was definitely a quarterback that we did not talk about. The chat is very concerned, AP, that there's another quarterback that we didn't talk about, and he's your boy, Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. So are you with me now? Are you joining the team? Hashtag never Mahomes? Or what's the plan here this week with Mahomes?
I mean, the thing with KC, it's all about staying healthy right now. It's what it is. And so, like, he's 8,500. I'm not going to get there. You know, gotcha. If he beats me, he beats me. I don't think, like, the Broncos do play Kansas City tight typically. And so they will be up for this game. I just think it's a spot where Kansas City does what they have been doing, get out of this game healthy, get to the playoffs, get a win. And so I think it's once Kansas City gets a lead, they do what they have been doing, ride Pacheco, and that's what it is, or McKinnon, you know, whoever. So Ronald Jones has been mixing in from time to time too. So I'm going to be off Mahomes. All
right, fair enough. JT Hayes, anything else you want to add here?
No.
All right, someone mentioned in the chat, Trevor Lawrence. Like, you could definitely do it. Like I said, if you're trusting Peterson, I'm going to have it in the large field stuff. I can't commit to it as anything high stakes as of right now, but I looked at some lineups when I did the show on Friday with Mayo, where it was Lawrence, Zay Jones, and Ingram, and just sort of leverage up the ETN ownership. But now, as we good segue, we're getting to running back. JTAs, I'm going to kick it right back to you and start with you. We've got Brian Robinson moved up the charts with Gibson going out. We've got Tyler Algier after a couple decent games there in Atlanta. We just brought up the Desmond Ridder side of things with London, but Algier, 15% of the target share last week, 5 targets. That tells you about the target share and how it goes there. Barkley, Sanders with no Hurts is up top. McCaffrey getting love. And then there's that range of ETN, Connor, some of the other guys, Swift even, and then Jamal Williams not getting much love, but talked about in that same Detroit-Chicago game. So go ahead here at the running back position.
Yeah, for me, just one thing on the Jacksonville side of things, just because when I got up this morning, one of the first things I did was look at the prop market. And it doesn't matter so much that I don't trust Doug Peterson, but it's that the books don't trust Doug Peterson. So I think that tells you a little bit something when you look at these player props and you see that they really don't expect a lot. or they don't know what to expect out of Jacksonville, which I think is where you should be. So to the point on Jacksonville, you can play them. I would not be heavy on them. I would leave them at maybe 15% of your player pool. You want to do some game stacks, not game stacks, but some jack stacks, that's fine. In terms of running back, I think it starts with a big decision, and the big decision is Christian McCaffrey, because he's showing to be the most popular owned running back, and I have concerns about this game. I have concerns about what Kyle Shanahan is going to do once they get up 17, 21 to nothing, which is likely what's going to happen here, and it could be because of the defense. So you know that Shanahan is prone to take his foot off the gas pedal and just run the clock out. I don't think that guy is going to be Christian McCaffrey. So if McCaffrey is going to get there at 9K, he's got to do it almost in the first half, and it's possible, but I think that's the biggest decision point. But I'm starting my lineups looking at guys like Brian Robinson for the Commanders in a very good matchup. Antonio Gibson ruled out. I'm starting them with Saquon Barkley. I'm looking at Tyler Algier. I'm looking at potentially one of these Jets guys. Could it be that Michael Carter has the big game this week against Seattle? Seattle bleeding points on the ground. Bam Knight, no one's going to want to play him because he dusted last week. So those are kind of the spots that I'm looking at. The Philadelphia situation, I mean, people wanted to play Kenneth Gainwell last week because they were concerned about whether or not Miles Sanders would get enough run. Miles Sanders didn't get any run. Why would they run him this week? Do you think that they're going to have a hard time with New Orleans? They could, but I don't know that I want to trust in Miles Sanders. And then you get to guys like David Montgomery and the Detroit situation. Look, Detroit's going to have success on the ground. The question is, who's going to be the one to do it?
Yeah, a couple thoughts that came up there, and then AP, I'll come to you. Was one, the Detroit piece just at the end there. Again, if I'm building that, Swift and game stacks, because like I said, I think he drags Goff along, but I think one of the better ways to leverage it, I actually bet it first TD too, plus 600. I don't talk about a lot of bets on here, but it was an interesting stat. I forget who posted it on Twitter, but the Cowboys scored the first touchdown most often of any team in the NFL this season. And when they did, I think it was 9 times, 5 of those times was Zeke. Zeke the other night gets the first TD. Second, right behind them, was Detroit scoring the first TD. And obviously right there, the touchdown leader, Jamal Williams. So I actually thought that was interesting. He's obviously a great way to leverage up Goff stacks. He's nowhere to be found on these ownership projections when you scroll down. He's just not, right? No one's playing him there. Even if he gets up to 4 or 5%, it's nothing in the relative statement of what we're talking about here. So I think when you look at it from that perspective, Jamal Williams, pretty interesting. And then AP, before I come to you, JT Hayes, you mentioned the Jets guys, another good spot, because when we get to wide receiver, we're going to talk about Amon-Ra, and we're going to talk about Garrett Wilson. It's the same all season. Why? Because those guys are studs that they won't price like studs ever. So it makes sense as to why they get to chalk. We've got Mike White back now for our guy Garrett Wilson, who we'll get to. But Bam Knight is the guy in the spot that I want for sure. And I want to do it 2 ways. 1, I want him to leverage Garrett Wilson. 2, I want to pair him with the Jets defense. I want to say if it's him, it's because they're doing their job. And I know it's a tough thing to ask going into Seattle to do that, but the Jets obviously have the defense that's capable. I think it's a good way to do it. They're also $100 less than the very popular San Francisco 49ers this week. So I think it's an interesting way to do it here in a good spot that you can go to. So I like that Bam Knight, New York Jets defense combo. AP, I'll kick it over to you, man. We've got, like I said, Robinson, Barkley, CMC, Algier, ETN. What are you doing here at this running back position? What are some of your thoughts of guys that we can go off the chalk with?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best running back play on the slate is actually a guy that maybe, like, I think he's going to get some ownership, but he's not one that's, you know, in that top 5 owned, but I think it's James Conner. He's actually been like really good, man. Average 5.3 yards per carry against Tampa Bay. Like, that's impressive. Like, Tampa Bay, always a tough team to run on. Had a good, like, he's had some really strong performances against tough teams. Patriots put up 23, Denver 18, and then last week 25. I mean, he's getting targets out of the backfield. The workload is going to be there for sure, and he's in such a great spot against JT Hayes' Atlanta Falcons. So, man, I think Connor could have himself a really, really strong day here. And I think he's going to fall under because, like, Tyler Algier, I love him too. I think he's a great play. No one likes to play 2 running backs in the same game, especially running backs against each other. I don't mind it here. I think it makes perfect sense when you factor in the price tags. Algier seems to be the guy there. The guy runs hard. He looks good out of the backfield. For the Atlanta Falcons there, 5.3K, very, very nice price tag. So I like those guys. So the big debate for me was CMC or Saquon Barkley. I've been leaning Saquon Barkley. I just love this spot. I think they could ride him here against the Colts. 8K price tag, very fair. And he's been good. He's really started to turn it on towards the end of the year. So as far as spend up goes, I trust Barkley a little bit more than CMC. Maybe that dusts me, but that's what I'm going to ride with right now. As far as
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I just said the chat was talking about the Bam Knight thing still, so I was just bringing it back up. Obviously, last week they're down. They lose 19-3. They're down, and I said, spoiler alert: last week doesn't mean shit for this week because it's just the way the NFL works. Funny that the ownership always goes that way, but it doesn't always mean that. CMC dudded last week. We have concerns with Kyle Shanahan this week. His price went up for some reason, yet people are still playing him, and I don't mind it because it's a spot where you can go back to. And what if he does show up? So it just comes down to your lineups, how you're setting them up. Carry on, AP. Sorry, I just wanted to address that right quick.
Yeah, then the other spend up option that he just posted a video. I retweeted it, but that's Austin Eckler. And a big fantasy guy, obviously, and he's good to go today. And 8,500 feels to be falling under the cracks there. You can run on the Rams. I think it sets up to be a nice spot for Eckler. And just imagine having a lot of different pieces in your lineup and they all smash, and then you got Eckler as your last late window hammer. You'd be sitting and feeling really good. So Austin Eckler, another spend up option I have a ton of interest in. I'm basically trying to get off of some of these like Travis Etienne, Miles Sanders. I'm trying to get off some of those kind of mid-tier chalk plays.
Yeah, I saw your tweet this morning on Eckler talking about the fantasy championships and getting hyped up. This guy does me wrong every time. I can't get him right. So I struggle with that. But yeah, you've got Saquon. Saquon, there's a stat on him. Again, it all depends on how you see the game playing out. But if you think Saquon and if you think the Giants win, Saquon puts an extra 8 DraftKings points onto his numbers in their wins. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I like that stat quite a bit. So I'm good with that one. And then just going down the board, looking at some other stuff, JT Hayes, I'll come back to you in a second, but more concerns. So I got 2 concerns, at least 2. Ramondre. So I liked him a lot on Friday, thinking, we got to wait on the Harris news, all that. Now Harris is in. Ramondre's still coming back from an ankle. He's 6,800. You never know with those Patriots what they're going to do. There was, I forget the exact how I read it, but about how Ramondre is going to be, maybe signing a new deal versus Harris. Well, they can just let him go. So maybe they just jam Harris in this spot. I don't know. I don't feel as comfortable with that. A lot of people ask me about that one. The second one, AP, I was all with you on the James Conner stuff coming into the weekend, but I will say this. The one thing scares me at least a little bit, like JT Hayes hinted at earlier. All of a sudden, David Blau is starting, and it's like, oh, DeAndre Hopkins injured now. He's done. It's funny how those things go sometimes, but it does worry me that they just say, let's just stop. I know he's getting the workload. I know it's cool that he's the opposite side of Algier. The workload is CMC-esque of the past CMC. It is very good for Connor. The only worry is if they just lock down on him and make Blau throw the ball, it's Dortch, who we'll obviously get to, who is it, AJ Green and Marquise Brown coming back and forth off injuries. I don't know, man. It's going to be tough. So it does worry me at least a little bit. Is James Conner good enough to beat that? The matchups there? Yes. So absolutely, he's a fine play. Just thought I'd bring that up. And then the last one, JT Hayes, and I'll flip it to you for some more thoughts, is I talk about these every week, and I will say this one's a good one. I think it is. Every single CMC 49ers lineup that you have in your phone, on your app, whatever you're on right now, I can see your CMC 49ers lineups. I know you got them. Every single one of those can be Barkley New York Giants lineups if you want to flip the exact same correlation and do it. And I just talked about Barkley with ownership for sure at home, but it's the same ownership as CMC I'm looking at right now. And the ownership's not even close when it comes to the defense. I believe it was 20 DraftKings points hung on Nick Foles just this past week that we saw. The Giants can definitely do it. The Giants have shown to be at least for real when it comes to that. Now they're at home. If Barkley's in that win, as I talked about, it's more DraftKings points and their defense should be attached. So I definitely like that 2v2 where you can just swap it, and any lineup that you've got that you can make it go the other side. So JT Hayes, give me your thoughts. Anything extra here at the running back position?
Yeah, I share the same concerns on Connor. That's kind of what I was talking about before. Once they ruled out, now you have the thing with McCoy is going to start, then McCoy's back in the concussion protocol. And now they're not going to go to McSorley. They're going to David Blau. Then they rule out DeAndre Hopkins. Man, there's no motivation there to need to play James Conner. So that's the concern for me, is that once you rule Hopkins out, looks like they're going to take a look at what else is on their roster. And that, to me, would likely mean reduced usage for James Conner. And I just think there's so many running backs that are in situations where teams need to win. We didn't talk about Lenny Fournette. Lenny Fournette looks once again to be the lead guy in Tampa Bay, going against a Carolina defense that's been pretty good, but he's going to get a ton of targets just the way that the Tampa Bay offensive line has been. So you know that the targets are going to be there for him. He's just 5,600 on DraftKings. We didn't talk about the situation in Green Bay. A.J. Dillon or Aaron Jones. It looks like Aaron Jones. I wrote up this game for my Gems one of my Gems articles this week. It looks like Aaron Jones is legitimately nursing some kind of injury. A.J. Dillon is in a great spot against a Minnesota Vikings defense that bleeds points everywhere. So I agree. I think I get the Conner play. I was on it Friday as well. I think I'm off of it. I'm going to look to these backs where the coaching staff has sincere and serious motivation to get wins and use their guys to get to the end of the game.
So yeah, I got a question. I got a question for you guys. Yep. What did Arizona have to play for last week?
Yeah, I mean, they had nothing to play for last week.
So Conner, he played.
Yeah, but
he played 97% of the snaps. So they had nothing to play for. So I don't if they're not I don't get that. Maybe in week 8, the final week of the year, next week, maybe they reduce it, but I don't see why they've been riding them so hard then. Why would it change this week is my only question.
For me, it's just a red there are some red flags, right? You start a guy that's like the 4th string quarterback. You rule out the top skill position player. What are these guys doing? It's just a situation where I have other situations that I trust more. I get the Conner play. I just don't trust it.
He's going to be potentially good leverage here when it comes down to the fact we'll get to Dortch in a second. Dortch is going to be extremely high owned, a low price 3K receiver, but I have less concerns about do they play him. My point is 25 carries doesn't equal 25 points. If we make a statement like that, I think that's true. All the opportunity in the world doesn't guarantee the output. And that's where I have more concerns, is that it just may lead away from that, where he's out there, they play him no problem, but why wouldn't Atlanta? And Atlanta's not that good. So I'm not against the play. I'll have him in large field. I'm saying I've got a harder time trusting him in some of my main lineups because of those thoughts that go through my head. And when I look at him, the way he shakes out, he's not 5% owned, right? He's coming in at 12 to 15, somewhere in that range. That's fine. 90%, almost 90% of the field not playing him is definitely a fine play. He's not chalk. I'm saying that because JT Hayes mentioned there is some red flags for me. One of the lesser red flags is playing time. That's not my concern. It's that 20 to 25 carries doesn't guarantee. There's other guys in his range that will get 20 to 25 attempts across the board as well. Go ahead, AP. Sorry to cut you off.
No, I mean, my main point was I'm just not convinced because it's, they haven't had anything to play for a while. I believe they were eliminated last week and, he was on the field almost 100% of the time. So look, that's why I like him. I think the price tag's very fair, but you guys bring up good points as well. So it's going to be something to consider.
Yeah, our guy just keeps going off in the chat. 25 carries plus 6 to 7 receptions. That's not guaranteed. I mean, and you can't put receptions on, maybe 6 to 7 targets. And then what does he do with them? Does he catch them or get slammed back? Does he drop them? You have no idea. So you play it for opportunity. That's what we're always looking for. My point is there's 7 or 8 other guys in the somewhat price range that he's in that should get the same opportunity that could still come through. Other guys, right quick, before JT Hayes, I come to you on the wide receiver position. The Aaron Jones versus the Dillon. Aaron Jones, it's out. There's an article out there. People can go read it. Literally says he's playing through injury. He's been back and forth and on and off, and that's why the snaps are there, haven't been there. So if you want to use them as a late swap option today or something because you really need to get there in the back end, by all means, go ahead. But I definitely don't think I've got much interest there. And then the other guy, I mentioned him earlier a little bit, but Dalvin Cook, when we go to wide receiver here in a second, it's not sneaky. Jefferson is just like CMC this week, and Jefferson's always a good play. He can cook any defense. I'm not worried about the matchup, the Jair stuff, all these things. I'm just saying if you want to be different in that build, you could go, like I mentioned earlier, Aaron Rodgers, Watson, and Cook. Get 3 pieces in the game. Green Bay's run defense is nothing. I'm not too worried about that. It could be a Cook game. By all means, it could be. And then if you have Watson ruled out, you just drop the $500 and go to Lazard. It's not really that different. So I would just look at it from that perspective. AJ Dillon, someone mentioned in the chat, definitely in large field stuff. If you want to take the shot, he was already getting the carries. Like I remember the scene last week. I'm looking for Aaron Jones. He's in the backdrop on a cart getting tended to while AJ Dillon's running it up the set. So I think looking at some of that stuff down the board, I don't see too much else I want to mention. I mentioned Bam Knight with the Jets D, talked about that. AP real quick, actually, anything with those KC guys that you would take, that you would trust now that we're not on the quarterback there?
I mean, I'm moving off, but yeah, like I think we all feel like Pacheco should have like that game where he finally breaks one off. Like how hard he runs. Like I can't believe he hasn't like broken off like a 40, 50 yarder to the house. Maybe it comes this week. I don't know, but I can't get there, man. I'm actually pretty under on the Broncos Chiefs game. I don't like the 44.5 total. When's the last time we've seen a 44.5 total in a Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes led game? It's been a long time. So that has me very concerned about this game.
The only thing is tough is, the total is what it is, but they're all the points pretty much all belong to the Chiefs, right? The Chiefs team total is pretty solid. So
what Ross hang on them? Like 28?
Yeah.
28, something like that last time. So
but then if that becomes true again, then that actually bumps all this up and put that 44 out the window and we go into the 50s plus. So
there is something to be said about how his teammates had his back. Did you guys see that on Twitter?
Yeah,
like
Judy and
came
Hinton
out.
both. Judy got the publicity, but Hinton was there too.
That says something, because it's just like, your guys get your back. That's going to pump you up. That's going to build chemistry. I mean, I don't think they turn anything around like in a week, but maybe they take that into the offseason. Maybe they get some big win to finish out the year, build some chemistry and get things right. But outside of, I can't get there. It's just an absolute disaster of a situation, but you do love to see the teammates that are having his back.
Yeah. Anything else, JT Hayes? The chat mentioned Akers. Not sure if you want to talk about him quick before we move to wide receiver.
We're not going to chase the Cam Akers career game this week. I'll just say that. In terms of AJ Dillon, one other point though. Good point about, we talked about the injuries to Aaron Jones. Also, I think the Watson news is big there, because if Watson is out, then I think you will see more touches coming out of that backfield. So I do think it's a sneaky spot here for AJ Dillon in this game.
Yeah, I don't hate it. And I'm sure, again, like I said, you can build it into your lineups with the late swaps. When you've got a Watson, if you had a Watson Jefferson or a Watson Cook, there's some way to get there where you swap it out to whether it's Dobbs and Dillon Dillon down from Cook, and maybe you can get Watson up to somebody else. Like there's definitely swaps that you can make in the afternoon that would make sense. So I don't hate setting it up for that. Again, waiting on that injury news. I think no practices for we're going to go to wide receiver in a second with Watson. Doesn't really look great for him, but we'll see how it shakes out. Real quick, guys, almost 1,000 watching. We'll take that break. It's 9:30. You've had time to have your coffee, hopefully, or at least if you're still drinking, like I said, great news, but you're going to be feeling it later. But right now, be feeling that like button. Hit that like button, hit the thumbs up. We got to get to 500. We went lighter on you guys. Usually it's 750, almost 1,000 watching. Let's take that second on your phone, computer, the mouse, whatever you got there. Hit the thumbs up, get those likes up. We got to get to 500 for the plays of the day. We still got wide receiver, tight end, and defense to get through. JT Hayes, back to you. We talked about it earlier. Wilson, Amon-Ra, obvious. Dortch at 3K with no Hopkins. Now Justin Jefferson, like I said, is basically the CMC version at wide receiver. Even with the price bump, even with everything else, people still want to get there because he's going to get the record soon, et cetera, et cetera. What are you doing here at the wide receiver position? What are your first thoughts?
Yeah, let me start with the like button, though. I don't know what it is about this. I mean, Friday we went light on the likes as well, and still we had to wait right until the very end to bring it home. I mean, this is so simple. The first thing I do when I pop open the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel is I hit the like button. I just do it. Get it out of the way. You gotta get the habit built. You're right. Today might have something to do with not popping over to the YouTube channel, but popping a few bottles. So we'll see. We give them a little bit of a breather, but like I said, we gotta get those likes up. It is standard. We ask them for a reason. Helps us with the show. It helps us get exposure. Keeps these shows free for everybody watching that you guys like these shows. If you're here, I guess you'd like it. So JT Hayes, take us away at this wide receiver position, man. What do you got? Yeah, so it's really hard to get away from Amon-Ra St. Brown. I haven't played him the last couple of weeks just because of matchups and price. Price hasn't moved, but now he gets the Chicago Bears, who have, I mean, they're basically running out parking lot attendants in the defensive backfield. So I like Amon-Ra here quite a bit, as a lot of people will. I like Garrett Wilson. You got Mike White back. He's finally got a quarterback that can get the ball to him. So I like him. On the Green Bay side, I like Alan Lazard. This is a good spot. I think you can take shots on the Giants guys. Keep waiting for Darius Slayton to have that big breakout game. It hasn't happened yet, but with this Indianapolis defense, I think it could happen today. And then the Tampa Bay guys, they let us down significantly last week, both Godwin and Evans. Evans hasn't had a touchdown, I don't know, in like 6 seasons, it seems like. But one of these guys, I think, is going to have a big game today. So I like these Tampa Bay guys a little bit. And that's kind of my starting point. Then you're going to get out to these other spots like the Dortch play. The other game I wrote up for the Gems article was the Chargers and the Rams. Again, Chargers in the same situation as several of these other teams where not a lot to play for. They're either going to be number 5, 6, or 7 seed in the playoffs. So there's not a lot of improvement they can make. Do they have a lot of motivation to play Keenan Allen and Mike Williams? Not really. Can Keenan Allen or Mike Williams get there in one half of football? Can Mike Williams get there at 6,700 with 2 long passes? Yeah, he absolutely can. So I think those guys are worth taking shots on in large field tournaments as well.
Yeah, AP, I'll bring it over to you real quick before I do. Just the 2 guys up top, the Wilson, Amon-Ra stuff. Like, there's definitely guys that you can go on their same team to, right? We've got Elijah Moore, we've got Corey Davis, we've got DJ Chark. I think it's great, for Detroit as another play I talked about earlier. So you could make that pivot off them and try and leverage them that way, or you could do what our guy Hoop did to win the Millie Maker and just over leverage these games and just take everything on. Add in with Garrett Wilson, go with Mike White, add in Elijah Moore, run it back with a DK Metcalf or a Tyler Lockett or a Fant, and just stack it up that way. With Detroit, Chicago, people are already stacking it, but now instead of just going Goff with Amon-Ra and Kmet, maybe you add in DJ Chark, maybe you add in David Montgomery. Like, you can definitely do that with these spots as well. So I'll kick it over to you, AP. Thoughts here at this wide receiver position as we cross 400 likes. So thank you, people. We're getting her moving now. We'll get to that 500. AP, go ahead, wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, I, of course, am locked arm in arm with JT Hayes on Amon-Ra. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about it. He hasn't had a touchdown in 3 games, despite, like, having, 30-some targets? I mean, it's absolutely insane. So I do think he's going to be on the right side of touchdown variance this week. And I think he gets in the box. And I really do think he could be one of the highest scoring receivers, if not the highest scoring, maybe battling it out with Justin Jefferson. I do think the Mike Evans call is interesting. Our boy Locks was on Tampa a little bit, I believe, on the Millie show that streamed last night. So interesting spot. I mean, my one concern with that game is just the pace. Like, we know what the Panthers want to do. They want to run the ball a lot. And we know the Bucks like to play slow. So that's like my one concern there, but it's going to be very low owned, kind of a nice leverage spot. We have yet to see Mike Evans do much of anything. So I will say my favorite overall receiver, though, on this slate is back into that game. They're in the Georgia Dome with Drake London. 20 targets since Desmond Ridder has been quarterback. I think he's going to get peppered today, 4.9 K. I think he gets in the box. And man, it's he was so close to 100 yards last week. I think he gets it this week. I just see a monster game coming from Drake London. So I'm building a lot. Like, he's kind of like a flag plant play for me. I find myself building around him, like one of the first receivers in, him and Amon-Ra. I just think, man, looking at the target share there, it's very tasty, as we often say. And there's something to be said about there's a few of them. Like, you got Brandon Cooks too. Jahan Dotson's been absolutely dominating. So, like, if you're looking for cheap-ish wide receivers and to move off of a flat 3K Greg Dortch, I think there's a lot of options this week. So it's not going to be too difficult just to get a little bit different than the field, because I do think Greg Dortch ends up being, a very, very popular option. And then one guy that man, I really want, like, I want these high volume guys. Keenan Allen for me seems to be like he's not landing in a lot of my builds, but I'm trying to find ways to get him in there. Because, like, if I could build around just going off volume, not looking at any correlation or anything like that, just guys I feel confident in: Drake London, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Keenan Allen, all up there. And just, man, if I could try to find a way to get those guys in there, I'd feel very good about heading into this week and just with my lineups and everything. So Keenan Allen, one of those guys I'm trying to fit in there. I haven't found a way to do it with everyone else that I want, but he's that one guy that I think, man, would be a nice safety blanket to have in the afternoon window.
Yeah, a guy like Keenan Allen, guys like you mentioned Evans and Godwin, those guys to me, I have no problem with all those guys as the one-offs. I'm interested in the Brady side of attaching all of them or the Herbert with. I like them as the one-offs though. Like plug them in, get what you get from them. I actually like Godwin more than Evans. I know Evans is the big TD guy and all that, but Godwin can rip it up, get you 8 for 105 and a touchdown, and that's plenty at his price tag. So I think he's a good play in there as well. With you on the Drake London stuff, the chat, talks about all the time how hard Atlanta is to trust, and Ritter doesn't throw enough all day. It's been the sentiment in the chat. That's fine. That's what we want. You want to go to places that others aren't trusting because it's going to be lower owned for us in the tournaments. And if it happens, we move to the top and the others don't. And again, it's more of a price play. They don't have to break the slate and be the overall top scoring at their position. They allow you to fit in the other ceiling plays. So if they happen to hit their ceiling too, you're in a really good spot with your lineups. And I don't think as many people will be there. Huge leverage for the slate in that perspective. And some of them are more safety plays too, right? Like the chat just mentioned about Allen, heard this conversation throughout the week as well. He only gets you 20, 25. Guess what? 20, 25 plays in a lot of these tournaments. We do the review every single Monday on Run Pure Sports. It's a free show. There's a lot of lineups that have that Keenan Allen 20 to 25 or someone like Keenan Allen with the 20 to 25. So it's not like you're spending that much on him to get there. It's definitely an option where you can do it and get away with it. JT Hayes, other guys here that you want to talk about at the wide receiver position?
No, so I'm on the same page with you. I like London, and in terms of the Tampa Bay guys, certainly was not implying that I like a Brady stack with both of them.
No, for sure.
But I do think that one of those guys is going to get there in this spot. So, they pulled in Josh Norman off the street. I mean, one of those guys is going to have a big game, and I think it could be one of them and Fournette as well.
Okay, I got 2 more things to talk about, and then we'll go to tight end. Hit the like button if you're just joining us. We're still doing it, and we're still the same saying in 2023. Can't hit the like, take a hike. It's a free show. It's all we ask. It's the easiest thing to do. It's free. It takes 2 seconds. There's not many things in life that have that come with it, so definitely do us that favor on your way in, or if you forgot, it's no problem. We'll forgive you. It's first day of 2023. Build it as a habit. Make it up for next time. AP, I want to talk about 2 more things right quick. One, the Dortch scenario. I will just say this about it. Obviously, he's a great play at 3,000. Here's my take, though, is everyone looks to leverage that. Like they have to go to somebody else. I think one of the better leverage plays will actually come up at defense when we get to it. You can just play the Atlanta D here as well and just go against in that sense that, look, I don't care about him. I know he makes everything work, but you don't always have to say, if I don't play him, I've got to play Marquise Brown or I've got to try out AJ Green. Would you ever have been thinking about playing AJ Green or Marquise Brown coming into the week? Probably not, especially with David Blau as your quarterback. The difference is the price tag on Dortch and what he's done in those 5 games with 3 other quarterbacks. I posted it in my thread on Twitter yesterday in the tidbits. It is incredible stuff. It doesn't mean it will necessarily come through that way again. Am I playing him? Absolutely. Might even be in the core. My point is that when people are looking for it in all their lineups, you don't have to go that way. Sometimes you can just balance it out and I talk about this all the time. One of my favorite things to do. Let's make an example. Aaron Rodgers, let's say Watson's out. Lazard, Dobbs or Cobb and Jefferson. Boom. Guess what? You have a flex spot. I know, but you just used up all your wide receiver spots. No Dortch, but it's because you went after a game stack. So there's lots of ways that you can go to do it different and be that way. The other thing, we didn't talk enough about it. So AP, I'll kick it to you with my final thoughts at wide receiver. Guy that I like quite a bit, actually. Tyreek Hill with Teddy B has definitely been a thing. The Patriots are down. There's a bunch of DBs. They're not really in the same spot they've been. Bill Belichick does try and stop your number one. He has not been able to do that lately because what he's working with, that's the problem. You want to do something, but if you don't have the guys to do it with, sometimes you can't do that. So right now, I like the Tyreek Hill spot. I also like lineups that go something like Tyreek Hill, Dalvin Cook, because where most are playing Jefferson for that much money in the wide receiver, I'm double leveraging by going Cook instead of Jefferson. And then I'm going Tyreek Hill, almost the same money as Jefferson, and I'm trying to do it up that way. So I definitely think there's interest there, at least for me. And you could run it back with Jacoby Myers, who I've got popping a little bit as well on my side. He is 5,000. Definitely think he's interesting there now that the running back situation is a bit more wishy-washy with Ramondre playing off the ankle and Harris back. for the Patriots. AP, kick it to you. Any final thoughts at wide receiver before we go to tight end?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always going to be on board with Tyreek Hill, especially when he's low owned, absolutely flying under the radar too. Nice leverage off of Jefferson. Who am I more confident in? Justin Jefferson, obviously, but I think that's a good call. One other call I got is Jerry Jeudy, and it's just, man, like Russ doesn't. One thing we got to go look at is, did Cortland Sutton have Russ's back on Twitter? If he didn't, I'm going to play Jeudy this week because Jeudy wrote that nice tweet.
It was Jeudy and it was hitting. It was Jeudy.
Yeah,
and
Russ hasn't even been looking at Cortland Sutton, so no wonder he didn't tweet at him having his back. But look at what Judy's been doing. I mean, man, the guy has just been an absolute monster too, and he absolutely broke the Chiefs when they played 3-touchdown game. Obviously, you can't imagine that again, but he's another one of those guys that's getting some targets. Not a spot I trust as much, but I don't see anyone playing him. So I think he's an interesting play as well. A lot of leverage spots at the receiver position, which we should like in tournaments. I just find it harder to correlate this week at the wide receiver spot. So that's like the one interesting nugget that I have.
Charlie J said Sutton retweeted it though. So he's trying to get in there, man.
He got the retweet at least. Did he quote retweet?
And then Ronald said lazy retweet. Make a statement, Sutton. Come on, baby. Get that statement out there like your boy.
That makes me like Jerry Jeudy even more.
Jeudy did, by the way, just torch these guys last time. He torches the coverage that they run out there too. I posted that in my thread yesterday as well. It's pretty solid stats on him there. So he does make a lot of sense, and he's pricey. He's 6,400, right? He's not in the low tier. He's not in the upper tier. Sometimes that balanced area is where you can pick up some great points there. And I think that is a good way to do it. We'll move on though. JT Hayes, going to come back to you. Alex said Elon retweeted it. Oh man. JT Hayes, tight end. This is interesting because all the talk about Peterson resting his guys. Is he lying or not? He's not. He says he's not resting them. We've already talked about this. Lawrence, ETN, those guys, people are struggling with a little bit, but nobody is struggling with Evan Ingram coming off, 42, 15, and 21 in his last 3, something along those lines, DraftKings points-wise. So Evan Ingram, then you've got sort of a mix and match of all these guys at anywhere from 7 to 12%. You've got Hawkinson. You've got Jelani Woods in the Hawkinson spot, now with no Granson. You've got George Kittle, no Debo. You've got Kelsey if you've got the money to get there. Tyler Conklin for cheap with Mike White. What are your thoughts here at the tight end position?
Yeah, I like Conklin here quite a bit for cheap. I mean, nobody is going to play Travis Kelsey. I think this is a spot where, not I think, but this is a spot where Kelsey has smashed these guys. He's definitely the wide receiver one. He's the guy that you know is going to get the volume. Again, if this game is close, I think that Kelsey can put up a huge number. So I like him. Kittle, I mean, 2 games in a row now, right? He's the guy that's getting the bulk of the targets out of the San Francisco receiver core. A lot of people talking about Brandon Ayuk this week, but I like Kittle here against a very depleted Raiders defense. Jelani Woods is cheap. I don't love the offense here. I think it's a tough spot for Indy, and I think I'll move my Woods shares to probably a guy like Conklin. You mentioned, I think, Cole Kmet. Playing Cole Kmet, he's probably the only receiver that you could really pair with Justin Fields. Of course, you could pair him with Montgomery, but those are kind of the guys where I'm going to try and stay in that route. One note on Conklin is that with White back, they do tend to mix in CJ Uzoma and Conklin. I think it was a couple of games ago where Uzoma got the 2 touchdowns from Zach Wilson, but Seattle worst on the slate against opposing tight ends. So it's a good spot there for the Jets.
Yeah, don't hate that one. AP, I'll come to you. One note on the Kmet thing is that it's just the way it's set up. But if Ingram really is this popular at 4,400, it is tougher to get to Kmet for the extra $100 when you can just play Ingram. And I think that's what we're seeing, at least as of now. So any thoughts here that you've got otherwise, AP, at the tight end position, other guys that you like at the spot?
Yeah, I mean, when I was going through my process this week, probably similar to a lot of people, Ingram was popping, and looking at box scores, looking at what he's been doing, but man, and he's going to be chalk too. But man, I have some current concerns, just like you guys. So I'm trying to move off of him, despite the good matchup. I'm just gonna, if that spot's going to be chalk, I'm going to bank on hopefully Peterson does what he does and just like fools us all, and ends up like, starting to rest these guys, or just who knows what's going to happen with that situation. But so this was a take from the Print Factory this week. Phenomenal show, members only. So, a show that, man, you got to watch each and every week. But Jelani Woods, I know those guys were very high on him. JT Hayes seems like he's high on him too, but I had to look into it a little bit deeper. Man, he was on the field a ton. And this is a team that likes to rotate in their tight ends in the Colts. But Jelani Woods, I think, was on the field close to 80% of the snaps last week, 25 routes ran, and Nick Foles was targeting him. So that's one of my favorite tight ends this week, 2.8K. I'm going to have a ton of Jelani Woods. I'm off Kelsey this week. The Broncos are the one team that seem to play this guy good, it seems like. And he owns the AFC West, absolutely owns them, but the Broncos tend to have his number a little bit. So that has me off of Kelsey. George Kittle is the other guy that I'm looking at. I mean, man, what an absolute nice connection between him and Brock Purdy right now. Kittle, how do we not consider this guy? Again, another one of those late window hammer type plays, put up 25, then 33, 5 and 8 targets, had a monster game, 4 touchdowns last 2 games, and gets a very, very nice matchup against the Raiders here. So George, if I'm spinning up, I think it would be George Kittle for me over TJ Hawkinson, even though TJ Hawkinson has been an absolute beast. I think I'm going to go Kittle spinning up, Jelani Woods if I'm spinning down.
Yeah, I like the Kittle call, obviously, with the Debo news out. That's been the product of his production has been that. So, I mean, that's the case there. Hawkinson, everyone in the chat, not chasing. People forget this. I talk about it all the time. You're not getting the 40 points again, but if he gets you 25, it wasn't really chasing. He's in a good spot. He gets all the targets. It's another good setup. One thing I will say, I actually think the Jelani Woods, to me, at least, I get Granson's out. I understand all this about him at 2,800. He's not even super popular. I mean, our guy Nades talked about the run back with Barkley. I get all that, but I feel like that's chasing because you're chasing the Hawkinson spot, but you're doing it with Nick Foles at the quarterback. Now, it's a price play. The price is good. It's $2,800. I'm not against it. I'm not saying go away from it everywhere. I'm just making a statement so people know, thought process wise, that doesn't always make it a good play because of that. Going down the board, just some other stuff right quick. Hunter Henry, assuming he plays, it's a great matchup against Miami. Jonnu Smith is already out. He's another guy I think you could go to here really cheap on FanDuel as well. So I like him. Njoku, nobody talking about. You want to run back, Nades. You're talking about Barkley, Jelani. What about your Brian Robinson lineups that are sitting out there? Let's run it back with Njoku. Watson's been looking at him an absolute ton in the red zone. He's 4,100. He's $300 less than Ingram. I think he makes a lot of sense. And the last couple guys right quick for me, Noah Fant, no Dissly. I talked about overstacking that game. Fant would absolutely move into that spot. I would be happy with that there. And then the last one, Cade Otton, sort of took over. We talked about some of those other one-offs. He's the guy now. It looks like, at least from what we've seen these last few weeks, if you put him in, he's a guy with Brady that you could play. I like all the other guys that I said better, though. So we can end it there. JT Hayes, anything else at the tight end position? If not, let's quickly talk defense before we get to the plays of the day as we're about to cross 500 likes.
Yeah, I just have to hold the chat accountable. Number one, we're not at 500 likes. Very disappointing. Number two, someone called AL Money said the Denver D has been showing up. And I guess technically they did show up in Los Angeles, but they also gave up 51 points. So don't talk to me about the Denver D showing up. No more comments on tight end.
All right, let's go to defense. I love it. You got to let them know that's what we do here at RPS. So JT Hayes, I got no problem with it. What's your thoughts there at the defense position?
I mean, how often? I know that we generally hate defense. We've heard AP gives the speech every week, right?
It's a good tournament slate, and we hate defenses every week.
But AP, when's the last time that we said defense is absolutely loaded? I mean, defense is absolutely loaded this week in terms of who you could play. San Francisco, absolute smash spot against Stidham for a defense that's been absolutely phenomenal. Atlanta, absolute smash spot here against David Blau. The Giants, the Jets with Geno Smith falling back to earth somewhat. How about the Chargers? We talked about what they did last week. They're expensive. Nobody's going to play them. But do we think Baker Mayfield is going to repeat that ridiculous performance that he had last week? I don't know if I get to the Chargers, but I think there's a lot of defenses here that you can play this week. Eagles, definitely could play them. Commanders, not a bad spot. The Chiefs defense, there's a lot of defenses, but I think for the most part, it's going to be San Francisco and Atlanta and the Giants that I kind of circle in on.
I love the Giants. I think that one's the perfect setup. Like I said, when you do that little 2v2 I talked about earlier, the Falcons talked about it. They've actually picked up steam surprisingly, but in general, when you look at it, it's basically a setup of going against Blau. So I could see it, but if you're thinking about Dortch being that high owned, it's definitely a good spot from that perspective. You wanted to do something like Algier with them, you could do that too, where most are running Algier with Dortch. I could see that. Not too many others that I'm, super high on. The Jets, I like them being $100 less and going with Bam Knight, hoping that same setup, that if they get the win, to the, contrary to the point earlier, last week's game setup where he played half the snaps is because they're down. If they were up, you'd think it would be because their defense is doing work against Geno and Bam's continuing to get those snaps and getting to run the ball. AP defense thoughts before we get to the plays of the day as we hit 530 likes. So still hurtful, but we'll get there with the next show. Morningwood up next. Of course, stick around for that. AP, any other thoughts here at the defense? What do you got for your thoughts?
Yeah, I hope JT Hayes is right in that, like, there are a lot of options to play, and I hope that helps to spread ownership out, because I'm clicking 49ers every single lineup. 2,900, like what's their floor? Like 7 points
30
against this rate? 30? 30. Yeah, I mean, no, it's a serious question. What's their floor? I have it at 7. And 2,900. I'm just locking them in, and they're such a good defense. This situation, I think the Raiders just absolutely give up. I don't know. It's a situation where just give me the 49ers defense. I'm locking them into every single build, and I'm moving on.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. The chat likes it too. One quick last note, and then JT Hayes, I'll come to you for your play of the day, is the Saints are 2,200. I know it's Philly. I know it's everything with it, but if you want the cheap option, they are getting Lattimore back today. So now if you think he matters or you care, it's not the biggest deal for me, but just of note, if you needed that $700 in savings from San Francisco, you could definitely hop down to the Saints at 2,200 and just hope you get that 6 to 8 points for that price point and be able to pay up somewhere else. JT Hayes, if not, any final thoughts at defense? Let's give the people your play of the day. What do you got?
Yeah, no final thoughts at defense. Play of the day is tough because ownership is going to be centered around a couple of guys, and I can't take my guy Amon-Ra at that ownership. It's just not something I can do here. But I'll go with I think I could take this guy. I think the ownership is fair. This is a team that I think is going to put up a win today. I don't think the game is going to be particularly close, and that means he's going to get a few more carries. Let's go with Tyler Algier.
Like it. Going with your ATL guy, keeping it in the hometown. Like that one. AP, play of the day. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, my play of the day is in that same game. I hope we see points. Maybe the Falcons give us like 28. I think that would be a really friendly number. Drake London, 4,900. I think he also has a big game.
Should I go Desmond Ridder to round this thing out? Stack it up?
Please don't.
Oh, the Cardinals just blow them out.
Can't do that. I'll definitely have some. I'm not afraid of it. But I will say this. Talked about it earlier. My play of the day. Usually we want this guy. He's been good with his guy coming in as the backup quarterback now in Teddy Two Gloves. My play of the day is going to be Tyreek Hill, $8,900. He's priced there right under Jefferson. I like Jefferson. I'm going to go to Tyreek, though. I'm going to have some of those stacks set up, run it back with a guy like Myers or Henry. I definitely think there's options in this game. The Pats have not been able to stop anybody lately, and I don't think they'll be able to do so today either. Teddy B has looked at him a lot in his starts in the past, not so much at Jalen Waddle. So Tyreek Hill, my play of the day. Thank you guys all for joining us. The first show to kick off here at Run Pure Sports for 2023. Stick around. The Morning Wood is up next. 3 Millie Maker winners, Crain, Hoop, Big T. You don't want to miss it. Hit the like button for them on the way out as they come in. For JT Hayes, for AP, and myself, Toe Tag and Tambo. We'll see you guys next time. guys, Tambo here with your weekly core report. With the holidays almost behind us, we're finishing the year strong with some big hits. Let's get to the winners. Christmas brought us 2 days worth of NFL slates over the weekend, and our members took advantage of it. IPT 007 hit for $2,100. The Guru won $5,500. Oaktown Daily Crusher shipped on 2 separate showdown slates, winning over $40K. Elsewhere in NFL, we're in Best Ball Finals week. Congrats to all our members and contributors who advanced. We'll be covering the final results in next week's core report. In the NBA streets, our members' hot streak continued as well. Dr. Lucky 7 hit for $4,500. Shawnee Wins won $7K. Sweet Boy hit for $23K. And Bossolini 1 topped it off with a $50K shipper in Showdown. Congrats again to all our members. If you want to be featured in the core report, drop your winning lineup in the Winner's Circle channel in our premium Discord. If you're not a member, join now. You won't find a better value with all sports included for one low price. And while you're watching, hit that like button now. Remember, if you're not winning with us, you're watching us win. Till next time, let's keep running pure.
Happy New Year, everybody. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Wood over here on Run Pure Sports. And it's great to be here with you guys in 2023. It's great to still be alive in 2023. And DC, it's good to see you alive in 2023. You were questionable for the show. You're here. It's a pleasure to see you, buddy.
Yeah, I got tricked for the second straight Morning Wood show. First one was the World Cup final. I had to fill in for Mr. Big T. And then, Hoop slid in the DMs this week, asked if I could fill in on Sunday. I quickly accepted before realizing it's going to be New Year's Day here, and I might be, a little.
The kids like to see the explosion, and they knock on the Niehaus front door and they say, Big T, I just saw your win on FanDuel the other night. I saw you're shipping the giblets. Can we please have $100 so the kids in the neighborhood can enjoy some boom boom pow and enjoy some fireworks? And Tony's like, how do you answer, Tony?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a Facebook thread or something, or in the little neighborhood, and I say, we're not 9 years old. I'm not chipping in. I refuse. If you want to buy a bunch of alcohol, I'm in. I'll chip in. If we want to do any adult activity, I'll chip in. Whatever you guys want, any amount you want. Not chipping in for fireworks, though. I refuse. These guys around here just literally touch themselves to fireworks, too. You spend thousands. Every year they spend thousands. It lasts for 20 minutes. We've seen it every other year of our life. People are taking pictures. I mean, imagine taking a picture of a firework. Like, come on. No one wants to see that.
I'm with you on the fireworks thing.
There's not a single person out there that wants to see your picture of a firework, whoever you are.
You don't have the recorder up. Just take it.
Yeah, like no one wants to see that. Come on. Last year, actually, I think it was a UFC night because I was literally in the driveway watching UFC on my projector as everyone was down there changing undies to the fireworks.
All right, so chat, let me know, because a lot of people in the chat are saying that my microphone is quiet. I just
Sounds good
switched.
to me.
Okay, well, hey, that's just because you enjoy my soothing tones.
Correct.
So I went ahead and changed the microphone settings. Let me know, chat, if that's any better, because I want you guys to be able to hear me.
Last week or the week before, they were saying that about mine, and mine sounded normal too, I think, on our end. So I don't know.
Like, eventually they're just going to get together and just decide to fuck with us and be like, hey, let's all just say that their mics are bad. All right, they say
they don't know that we're
now.
not smart enough to figure it out anyway.
Yeah,
so they need a different joke.
Yeah, we're all over here like, just you click the button. They had me producing the show yesterday, and I'm like, ooh, guys, I don't know. This could end up being rough for everybody out there, but I didn't screw it up.
Guarantee you picked winners.
I don't know. I have no idea if I picked winners or not. All I know is that I wanted the stream to start correctly and stop correctly, and us to have, video and audio in the middle. If that happened, we're good. I have no problem with that. Oh, yeah. Oh, imagine going from Tambo to Crain like 12 to 6. That's hurtful, Extra Sauce. That's hurtful over there in the YouTube chat. Yeah. So, all right, let's go ahead and hop into the slate because,
to be fair, I want to get your back because you're my morning wood partner. Tambo practices in front of the mirror. There's no way you're practicing in front of no mirror.
Not a chance.
Like, there's no way.
Chance.
So
there's not.
It's impossible to be better than Tambo if he's going to practice in front of the mirror every morning.
Yeah, there's just. I mean, guess what? I'm not doing. Practicing. I'm Allen Iverson over here, man. We talking about practice.
I think we can all three get on board with that trend.
No, I've been doing this long enough to where if I'm just still, I'm not saying it wouldn't do me some good. I'm just saying I ain't going to do it.
People don't believe this, and I know you guys are similar too. But I've never once in my life, 10 years of shows now, thought about a show for more than 1 second before the show. I still remember. I'm not going to name a name at our old company though. It was me, him, and the producer, and he refused to go on because we didn't have a third member and he wasn't prepared. I can't throw him under the bus, but I mean, can you imagine that, Crain?
Poor DC's just over there, like, man, at least he didn't throw him under the bus.
I'm just.
It was definitely not DC for the record.
I'm excited to find out who it is after the show. We can't throw him on the bus.
And we never started the show. It never started because he would not go on because he was supposed to be like the host or whatever. I was like,
hosting, you don't have to know. You don't have to know shit when you're hosting.
But he wanted like someone else so that when I kick it back, he could go somewhere. Yeah, it was hilarious.
I've done a few solo shows back in the day when people didn't show up, and you gotta make it happen. The solo show is rough, but if you got two people,
solos are rough. Especially when you were with someone though, and they dropped off or something, and then you just had to go by yourself.
Got to keep going. Yeah. That's not a lot of fun.
Yeah, I had a few XM shows like that, and at least with that, you can throw to commercial.
You did the full hour on XM by yourself?
Yeah, a few times. Yeah. Dude, XM's the easiest thing ever, man. You get commercials.
By yourself, still a little rough. I don't think I'd be as good just talking to myself.
I mean, it's. Yeah, you know what you do? Hey guys, we're gonna be taking callers in about 5 minutes, so go ahead and get those phone lines lit up. Yeah, you did full hour of callers, baby. Easiest radio you will ever freaking.
That's why I respect some of those radio guys like Coward and stuff that talk for 3 hours,
it's
5
hard,
days a
man.
week by themselves.
And then these people get on Twitter because they get on there, talk for 3 hours by themselves, and people get on Twitter. Oh, here's this 2-minute clip of not knowing what he's talking about. What a dummy! I'm like. The degree of difficulty with that shit is hard.
And like, giving actual takes every day throughout the whole year. Good luck, people.
It is nice though. Those people don't have to, they're not backing up their takes with anything. They just say whatever the hell they want.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's all the better if it's an outlandish take and people start sharing it on Twitter, right?
Yeah. So, Crain, let me know when you're back on XM so I can prank you, buddy. That's what we have producers. That's what we have call screeners for. You don't think I don't pick up the phone? Hello, this is Eric. No, that doesn't happen. We have people that do that for us. So, hopefully they weed them out. And if they don't, that's okay too. All right, let's move on to the slate. Let's talk Arizona at Atlanta. It's a 40.5 point total. Atlanta 6.5 point favorites at home. And we've got Tyler Algiers, James Conner on the other side. It's a little too expensive for me, but I know some people want to go there. DC, this game's all about the running backs. I guess Greg Dortch is going to be popular as well at 3K. Yeah. Talk to me about these guys.
Yeah, low total in this one, but I mean, hard not to like these guys. You said James Conner too expensive. This guy's played 90+% of the snaps in 4 consecutive weeks. I'm a little worried about Arizona that they kind of throw in the towel here now on the third string quarterback, David Blau in a QB, but I think Cliff Kingsbury is kind of coaching for his job at this point. So. Yeah, you got to assume that these guys are going to be run out there. I mean, Connor getting all the work. I kind of think David Blau is going to play a Colt McCoy-ish role and get the ball as much as he can to his playmakers. That includes James Conner, 7,200 on DraftKings. I think he's an awesome play. Greg Dortch, stone minimum 3K. I mean, if you watch that last game with Arizona, Dortch was like the centerpiece of the entire offense. I'm not saying that's going to happen for sure again, but if it does, and you're fading a 3K guy who's getting targets, around the line of scrimmage that are essentially assuredly going to be complete, He's going to get there at 3K. So I'm in on Dortch. I'm in on James Conner. I even like Hollywood Brown a little bit at 5,500 with no DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, and on the other side, it does look like Atlanta kind of testing out the youth movement, right? They benched Mariota for Desmond Ritter. Now looks like they're putting Cordero Patterson on the back burner for Tyler Algier, who's looked good these last 2 weeks. Both of these running backs have good matchups. 5,300, probably going to get 15 to 20 touches. It's hard not to like these guys for me. I think even Drake London, 4,900, famously buried me when I chose Mr. Sky Moore over him with JT Hayes on the Off the Chalk show. But I like Drake London a little bit here. It does look like Desmond Ritter, the rookie connection. London in these games with Ritter, 9, 11, 12 targets the last 3 weeks. I like him too. So a low total in this game and 2 bad teams, 2 bad offenses, but I think there could be some good fantasy production here. So yeah, I'm in on this one.
Yeah, Drake London, one of those guys where when he's paired with a guy like Ritter who just loves to chuck,
Yeah.
I have no problem with him. And Algiers is fine. Like, I'm not overly excited about him. And Dortch, Tony, I want your take on Dortch, because this is the kind of guy that every time we fade him, he just catches 8 balls for 90 yards and screws us. So are you fading Dortch this week?
Yeah, I mean, it's just hard. We've seen a few games this year where Dortch has broke the slate. One of them was a showdown slate, I believe. One of them was a main slate, but he's had a few ceiling performances. And honestly, when I go to these bad teams like Arizona, I mean, they haven't won a game since.
Big T, were you on Dortch on the showdown slate last time?
I was not.
I wasn't on him at all. And
no, because I mean, Marquise Brown was coming back. Like, it was.
And I was annoying though. I'm like, showed, and it was a slate too where we definitely had really good takes. And I don't say that every show. People know that I take L's plenty of times. We had like the Stone Nut, but we just didn't have any Dortch, and he just absolutely smashed. Yeah. And it was like Crain said, it was in Marquise Brown's spot where who knows what would have happened if he didn't get hurt in that game or whatever.
But I know you watched that game and like it wasn't an accident that he went off.
Yeah.
He was like,
no, they made a concerted effort to get him the football.
And now they're missing Hopkins. Why wouldn't they do it again with the backup quarterback? Is my concern.
I have one friend that likes to message me right before my show with some random hot take, and they're almost never right. And
friend,
and I told him because he messaged me this, and I'm like, you send me these, like every time you send me these, they never get there. So his hot take this morning was Marquise Brown is the best play on the slate.
I mean, first of all, there's an Arizona guy can't be the best play on the slate. Like, it's impossible, but could be a good play. I mean, I don't know. Like, why are we going to Arizona for guys like Marquise Brown though? I mean, he could be. Like, the team hasn't won a game besides versus the Rams since October. Like, they're just so bad. I mean, Dortch is tough to ignore though. He's 3K. He's going to get targets. I think worst case scenario, he gets you like 10. Best case, maybe he gets you like 25 or something.
So
he does get us like 12, but
I mean, so he can't hurt you basically, and he can break the slate. I mean, hard to fade someone like that.
It's just that price too, right? Like 3K. It's not like he's even 4K. Like if he was 4K, you could make a better case to fade it. It's one of those things too that I bet he comes in even lower than we think. It's still in the 20s probably, but I don't know, like he should be like 40 or 50% at 3K, it feels like, with tons of like spend ups we can get to. I don't know. I have a tough time fading him. I actually don't have as much trouble fading Connor though. Man, 7,200. I know he gets all the volume, and it's crazy too because I was for sure ready to like make fun of the Connor play, and then as DC was talking, I was just digging in. Like they've scored 16, 15, 13, 10. 24 their last 5 weeks, and he still gets there every week. So,
and the matchup's awesome too. I mean,
matchup's awesome. Yeah, he does score every week too. So does he continue to score every week? I don't know. I think he's a good player. I'm not saying you can't play him. I just struggle to play a running back at 7,200 versus Arizona. And I really don't want to play 2 Arizona guys when they're this bad in a 40 total. So I'll probably stick to just Dortch. And then the Atlanta side, I don't know how you don't like Algier. Everyone has to like him, and he's going to be popular, but he's 53. Like, honestly, I would rather, this is a DC bet, but I would rather have Algier than Connor, even at the same price. I feel like it's a better matchup. Atlanta's not from what I understand, then are they eliminated? Oh, they are eliminated from the playoffs. I was thinking everyone was still in there, so they're eliminated. That does make me like the spot slightly less, but Algier 5,300. You have to like him. Drake London. I know Tambo played him. I think all those finals weeks, and he just continues to crush. Like DC said, you got.
I'm looking at the core plays now, and Tambo's not backing down from the Atlanta offense. I'll say that much.
Oh, he's played London, and if he played London in those live finals, he's definitely playing them this week.
And look, London, he's had 9, 11, 12 targets the last 3 weeks. Like he hasn't had a big game. His best
he's gonna score a touchdown.
Yeah,
you can't have a big game without a touchdown. He's
here and there. Yeah, I mean his best game is under 16, and I'm saying that like he is absolutely primed to pop off. Like 10 for 100 and a score is not out of the question with Drake London.
Do you think we could see a quit spot like we saw with Denver last week for Arizona, where Atlanta could just pile the points up here?
I don't think so, because as DC said, Cliff's coaching for his job.
Also,
Cliff's coaching for his job, but are they playing for Cliff is the different question.
I think the JJ Watt retirement announcement kind of makes the team play hard for a week. I don't know. You can't send him out. Just embarrassing for 2 weeks on his retirement tour. So I think Arizona will play hard, or hard for them at least.
Well, we're playing hard for you over at Run Pure Sports, so make sure you go and click that like button. I don't have normally I have Hoop here to tell me how many likes, because I'm too lazy to look myself. Do either of you pay attention to the likes and how many we have?
I have the YouTube up. I don't watch it as close as Hoop, and I'm not as strict, so we'll probably do the plays of the day today. but we're at 655 likes right now.
Get us to 1,000, everybody. Get us to 1,000 likes. That's a very conservative.
What did we start with? Like 650?
I don't know. That's why I had to ask you. Yeah. So go ahead and click that like button. If you're enjoying seeing DC's pretty mug, if you're enjoying seeing Tony's Scroogey, I don't want your fireworks mug, if you're enjoying seeing, me, go ahead and click that like button. We'd appreciate it over here at runpuresports.com. Let's talk Indianapolis Colts at the Giants, 38.5 point total. The Giants, 5.5 point favorites at home here. Tony, I'm going to kick it off with you, because there's not going to be a lot of ownership in this game. Saquon, of course, is always fine, but I don't know if you need to pay $8K for a running back this week. Are you paying for Saquon, or is there anybody else here that interests you?
Yeah, I mean, Saquon's been really good to us, especially on this show. We've recommended him a few times. He's crushed, except the 1 week he sucked his chalk. But every other week he's been pretty good. I don't know. The Giants need to win. Indy doesn't. We've reached the point of the year, 2 weeks left, that you have to weigh these things. How much are these teams going to try that are out of it? The teams that need to win, how long are they going to play their guys? It's going to come up a lot the next 2 weeks. So I think the Giants have motivation. So I do want some Saquon, especially when we got some cheap guys we can play to fit in. You can do builds this week where you spend up for 3 spots, like 3 running backs, 3 receivers, different things you can do. You can get creative this time of year. I like Saquon. I don't like much else from the Giants, though. And then the Indy side, let me pull up these prices. I don't know how
it's going to be a quick segment.
Well, Jelani Woods, though, the dude looks like a beast, and he's still 2,800 at tight end. Like, I wouldn't even think about playing anyone else just because of how bad they are. But I think we have to at least look at Jelani Woods at 2,800. He looks really good to me. He looked good on Monday night or Sunday night, whatever night that was. And I still like him at 2,800. I think he's a pretty good play today, even for this bad team.
DC, I see you nodding, which is not what I expected when Tony was talking about Jelani Woods. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I was on the basketball show. That was Monday, I believe, the Colts play, when I was taking the slate off. So I didn't actually see – this doesn't happen often for me with the primetime games. I usually watch the whole thing, suffer through it on Twitter with the people. But I didn't see a second of that game. How bad did Nick Foles and that offense look, Big T?
If you watched Matt Ryan the other weeks, he looked like that. So
yeah,
you saw it if you've seen those.
Well, I saw 3 points. against the Chargers. I figured it could have been pretty.
These guys
ugly.
just can't move. They just stand in there and they get sacked and they throw it away and they throw picks, and it's just this. It's like watching it on repeat.
Yeah, talking about teams that quit. I mean, Colts they won that first game under Jeff Saturday, have dropped 5 straight since. And I don't know, you have the biggest comeback in NFL history against you on primetime against the Vikings. Then you come back the next week, scored 3 total points. It seems like Indianapolis wants to go home at this point. I guess the Giants team that I think they literally need to win to keep their playoff hopes alive. So yeah, I like the Giants defense here. I know they're kind of expensive, but full motivation against a quarterback that can't move, against a team that has taken sacks all year. And then, I mean, how do you not like Saquon Barkley here? I know he'll be somewhat
I like him a
popular.
lot.
I mean, you know what the Giants want to do, right? If they get the chance, if they're winning this game, they're just going to pound the rock to Saquon, who has looked good these last couple of weeks. If you go back to the beginning of the year when the Giants were winning games, Saquon was putting up 25, 30 fantasy points most games. That's what I expect here. I think it's going to be a lot of Saquon, Giants defense. I don't mind Isaiah Hodgins on the outside, has looked pretty good to me, but I just don't know if the Giants are going to want to throw the ball. I don't think they really want to in general. And when you got the opportunity with Saquon to pound the rock, I think that's what they'll do. So I'll have a lot of Saquon. I'll have some Giants defense. Colts side, I get the Jelani Woods call, but not much else there for me. Mostly going to be Saquon and the Giants D.
Let's move on to a more fun game. It's the Bears and the Lions, a 53.5-point total. Detroit 5.5-point favorites at home. And 2 weeks ago, Tony, we said that Justin Herbert was one of the best plays that we had seen all year. What did he do? He promptly shit the bed. He absolutely took a dump on our lineups. And now we have a spot that I think, pricing considered, I kind of think is similar with Jared Goff. He's 5.6K, a home favorite, a matchup that you know he's going to be chucking it. And Tony, my lineups are starting with Jared Goff this week at 5.6. I don't really see a way around it. Are you in the same boat?
Yeah, I mean, he's a great play. We've said all year, Detroit at home, you're going to like these matchups. Almost, I can't think of a single team outside of like San Francisco or something with just a great defense where you're not going to like. And I'm pretty sure they even played San Francisco and it was even points. I can't remember, but it's going to be a great spot. They're at home on the carpet, perfect conditions, and Chicago obviously is not any good. So you have to like Goff. My only hesitation at all, he doesn't run, and he's super chalk, like just super chalk. So I don't have to play him, but he's definitely in play, no doubt about it. The best play on the board. If you're playing cash, Hoop's not on here. Yeah. I can't claim to know anything about cash because I just don't play it and I suck at it. So I think Goff would definitely be the cash quarterback this week. And great play. I don't think I'll have him on my main team or anything just because I don't want to play 25% on Jared Goff. But and part of the reason, too, is this same game. I just think Fields is just such a good play. Inside 7,900, I don't think he'll get to 10% ownership at that price. And he's just got the 100-yard rush. Like when your quarterback gets you 100 yards rushing and a touchdown, you're literally there with just that number. You don't need anything really passing wise. And another thing I like about Fields, I don't want to pair him with anybody. So yeah. I never do this literally ever. I mean, people that have watched this show over the years, I don't think I've ever, maybe a couple times, but never recommend this, but it makes your roster constructions easier. Honestly, you plug Fields in, you look for many correlations as you work your way down, like a running back one way, receiver the other, that type of stuff. Just makes it easier. You don't have to figure out who to pair with them. And honestly, I'm taking them all out of the player pool. I don't want any of these guys. All these guys suck. They're not even cheap. Like, why are these guys not like in the 3Ks?
I'm really surprised Claypool is 4 or 5.
It's impossible to click the name at 4,500. I just don't even get it. Well, one sneaky guy I do like that we talked about on the Print Factory too is Herbert, though. Like, he's back, he's healthy. They've always liked him. And again, when you're like playing the Millie Maker today, this guy could get double-digit carries against Detroit inside. I know everyone was sucking off the Detroit run D. They gave up like 500 yards last week on the ground, it felt like. So I think you can play Herbert at 4K. Again, it's a big tournament field play. It's not the Hoop cash play, but I think you can go to him. You want to talk about a different roster construction, play Fields and Herbert together.
Yeah, ain't nobody doing that.
You could realistically have the whole ground game, and then you come back the other side, and you got tons of guys you can play. Amon-Ra has to be one of the best plays on the slate. He gets 15 targets every freaking week. Chark's been amazing. Jamal Williams scores every week. Swift, we don't play him on this show, but who knows? He does. He could get there. You just never know. Zalstra caught 3 touchdowns last week. I don't know. It feels like the tournament way to go in this game. Fields And some Detroit guys, cash game, you probably play Goff, Amon-Ra, and go that direction. But I like this game like everyone will. This time of year, you have to like inside conditions with 2 bad defenses.
Yeah, and you kind of sold me on Fields there, because if I'm not playing golf, Fields would be the guy that I played. Like if I was doing 150 today, I would have 2 quarterbacks. That's all I would run. Like I think these other guys, I just think this spot is just so much better than everybody else. DC, are you going to be loading up on this game? You're in the hoop spot, so you have to say you're going to play like 4 guys from the Lions, 3 guys from the Bears, and that's just how it works.
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible not to let. And quarterbacks kind of thin this week, right? I mean, if you look at like we're missing some of the big quarterbacks. Mahomes is super expensive. No Jalen Hurts on the slate. No Tua on the slate. And so even for a 13 gamer, like the options are not that great. So I'm seeing Goff at like 20-25%. Honestly, I wouldn't even be shocked if it comes in higher than that. He just sticks out as like
it's
clearly
just so obvious. It's
clearly
so
the
obvious.
best point per dollar play on the slate. There's just no question about it. Biggest total at home where he's been awesome. So yeah, I did sign up for. I don't normally play NFL cash games. I did sign up this week to try to. You got to try to book a win on the first day of the year.
You really are playing the hoop roll this week.
Jumped into cash games. So I did it for 2 reasons. 1, to try to get in the green on the first day of the year, and 2, going to play Jared Goff in cash games, and it gives you a little leeway to fade him in tournaments, right? Because not everybody will play him in cash games, of course. And I'm with Big T. Everything Big T said. Justin Fields, he looks like an awesome tournament play to me. You don't have to pair him with anybody. It keeps your whole roster open to get different elsewhere. And really what you're hoping for with Fields is those 50, 60, 70-yard touchdown runs, right? That are worth like 13 fantasy points just on their own. You get a couple of those and you're in the optimal just off the bat. He's proven he can do it multiple weeks. Matchup looks good. Detroit's going to put up points. There's just no question about it. And so they're going to have to come back with Fields because, Montgomery and Herbert, decent running backs, but they're not the most explosive players. They're not players that you can really chase a game with. So yeah, I think Fields gonna do work here, and his ceiling's higher than anybody. It just is. He's got the 40-point ceiling. I would say really only Mahomes on this slate other than Fields has that type of ceiling. So Fields could easily be the top scoring quarterback, the guy that breaks the slate. I love Fields. You don't have to pair him. You can even run it back with one of the Lions guys, right? Without Goff. Run it back with the Chark, Amon-Ra if you want to. And Detroit, they can go a lot of different ways with the touchdowns. Either running back can score. It can be Amon-Ra, Chark, Reynolds, even the rookie Jameson Williams. So, yeah, I love the Fields call, especially on a slate where there's just not that many upside quarterbacks. Give me one that's going to, I think, be under 10% owned. And, every single play he drops back is a potential slate breaker. So love the Fields call. Of course, if you're playing cash games or, you want to go with a safe route, Goff and his weapons look like awesome plays.
I've got to take a mental note right now of what the chat is saying, because the chat is on a different cheap quarterback. And I'll just give you a hint who it is. He has a noodle arm. Guys, click that like button, click that subscribe button. It helps us out over here at Run Pure Sports. We're trying to get to 1,000 likes today to get.
There's a lot of noodle arm quarterbacks. So
there's only one known for the noodle.
This is the original noodle arm, and it's original because he's been playing since 1940.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Jaguars at Texans, 43.5.
One point before you guys get there. Have we ever seen a week where every total is 40 except the 153, and then the Green Bay's a little higher, but every game's 40.
That's what I'm saying. Goff is going to be like 40% owned, I think.
And Fields is probably higher than we think too, honestly. I don't want it to be that way because I want to play him low owned.
Over under 15% for Fields.
I'll take the under.
I think it'll be under too, but I'm a little worried that maybe everyone's kind of undershooting it just because it literally, how many people just look at totals and build that way, and it's just so much higher than the.
Yeah, but they're all playing Goff. I feel like they're all playing Goff or fading the game. It's
Goff could be crazy. Like Goff could come in higher stakes. He could come in like 40+% owned.
Oh, dude, it's in like the 200 single entry, this 500 single entry and stuff. Yeah, he's going to be
field.
Yeah.
Which is insane. I don't care how good the spot is. Jared Goff. I mean, they could run in 4 times. Like who's to say they can't?
Are you ready for all the Jamal Williams angry tweets? You guys ready for that? It's coming.
He's the leverage off of Goff, right? Like he can steal all Goff's
I am
points.
not playing Jamal Williams.
I
I'm
can't
not
do it
doing
either,
I
but
mean, either.
I could see it happening though. And we still haven't seen a Swift eruption because he never breaks any, but I'm probably not going to go to it, but I mean, couldn't you see one game where Swift just nukes?
Okay,
and
Tony,
Goff?
we have literally been saying that since
And
week
I
two.
haven't really played him, so we've done good, but couldn't this be a spot at 5,300?
I
I don't think I played Swift one time the entire
Okay,
Good
DC,
move.
everybody gets 1 week. Everybody gets 1 week. There are guys like that.
If you
You
haven't
get
played
1
him all
week.
year, then you might want to use your one this week.
Yeah.
Pass.
Probably a good move.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what's not a good move is talking about the Jaguars and the Texans. 43.5-point total. The Jaguars, 3.5-point favorites on the road. The Jaguars seem to have figured it out. Trevor Lawrence looks great, and they get a Texans team that's been spicy, but still can't quite pull it out. And guys, I am going right back to the place where I started this season. Tony, you were here for it. I told you guys to play him for 5 weeks. He finally got there, and I victory lapped, even though he dudded for me 4 weeks in a row. Mr. Travis Etienne against this Houston Texans defense. Come on down. Tony, I know you're going to like this play.
I'm slightly worried about Jacksonville.
Okay.
I know next week's for the division versus Tennessee. This week doesn't matter as much for that. Although I did find out on the Prem Factory they can get in without the division if a bunch of stuff happens. So that does lead me kind of in the middle where they probably will want to play to win, but how long do they leave their guys if they're rolling? I don't know. I'm just a little cautious of Jacksonville, and a lot of it has to do with ownership too. I think a lot of these guys are going to get owned versus Houston. I don't know. I'm just uneasy. It is a good spot, and the spread throws me off too, honestly. Houston's been getting love. They played good teams, Philly and Kansas City, and I can't remember who the third team was, but it's been all good teams lately, and they've competed every single week. So I don't know. We talked earlier in the show about how some teams have quit. Some teams keep playing hard. Houston has kept playing hard. I really don't get this spread if Jacksonville truly was playing their guys. Like, why are they not favored by?
I mean, they're on the
more? They've been
road.
rolling.
They're
I
on
don't
the
know. This
road,
isn't my
it's-
game. I want your guys' input on this one because I'm definitely uneasy on Jacksonville's side. I'm not going to play any Houston guys either, so I just want to hear what you guys think about Houston.
You mean you don't like my Travis Etienne and Brandon Cooks correlated play?
You aren't playing Cooks again.
He just scored a touchdown. What are you talking about? He had 9 targets and a touchdown.
God.
He's under 5K. They're in a dome. Going to be playing against a team with a bad
He scored a
bad
touchdown
secondary.
and had 13 points.
Yeah, he still had 9 targets.
Do we get paid by targets?
We know targets matter. Let's not pretend that targets don't matter.
Cracked 13. Oh no, he had.
He was hurt, and he was hurt. He was hurt for a while. Show a little respect.
You're gonna play a 5K receiver that hasn't got 20 all year.
He's about to
on
get 20.
Houston.
He's about to get 20. This is one of the best matchups he could get. In a dome against the Jaguars, they're going to be throwing the rock. There's no forgetting his name right now. The number 2 receiver. Forgetting his name. But I don't think he's a bad play at all. Don't mess with me,
Nico Collins.
Nico Collins. Thank you. I appreciate you. DC,
Can't believe what are they going to do without Nico?
DC, am I crazy for liking Brandon Cooks? I don't think I am.
I don't think you're crazy, but I'm with Big T where I'm Xing this game out. I'm just not playing.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm moving on from this game. 13-game slate. Jacksonville, I believe the numbers. So we saw Tennessee sit Derrick Henry and other guys on Thursday night for the big division showdown against Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville, I think the numbers are if they win this game and lose next week, they have like a 6% chance to get the wild card.
They need 5 things because they showed it on that.
Yeah. The number I saw was like a 6% chance if you run the numbers. Doug Peterson, their coach, seems like a coach that would be aware of that kind of thing. So I do think, they'll come out playing their normal game, but I definitely think their hope is that they can, lay off the gas pedal a little bit, run the ball, control this game. I just don't see a shootout happening here. I think, if Jacksonville comes out and scores early, I think they throttle it back. And I think there's a chance that they just, I don't know, on the road, game doesn't mean much. This team's going to, it'd be one thing if Jacksonville was going to be, super low owned or something like that. But I think most of their weapons, guys that you would want to play, are going to be somewhat chalky. 13 game slate. I don't know. I don't want to go down with a team that could pull their guys at some point in the game or just, pull some shenanigans. There's just too many options on this slate. So I'm off Jacksonville. Houston, I mean, I get it with Cooks at 4,800, but like Big T said, just hasn't done anything all year long. And I'm seeing him as one of the more popular wide receivers on the entire slate. Playing for Houston, just not a place I want to go. So I'm mostly Xing this game out. If it beats me, it beats me. But yeah, I don't love it, and I'm gonna look elsewhere myself.
Hey, I appreciate the strong takes. It doesn't. It's brave to sit there and look at me in the face and tell me I'm wrong when I know I'm right.
It's not not that brave to fade Houston. I don't need a medal for that.
Oh, sometimes I'm right, and this is one of those times that I'm right. I might make it my play of the day. I might just do that. We'll just see. I'm going to really see Tony cry a little bit. Yeah. Oh, we got the.
We already did this last week.
Who was it?
You loved Cooks all last week.
He didn't have a bad game.
He had 13 points. I think you used what happened to the Crain that needed 37 after?
Yeah, really.
Well, I'll tell you what happened to him.
You're that happy over 13 points with a touchdown?
You know what? Here's the goalpost. Moved him a little bit. Now I win. You see how that works?
Oh man, you're taking the hoop spot here because he's the king of the victory lap over 14 points.
Hey, he was like 4,900 and scored 13, and I guess he had
an. Victory lapping it.
I am victory lap. I forgot to send you guys. I meant to send you guys a little chef emoji too, like in their chat. And I forgot to do it. I fucked up. I'm gonna have to do it again. I don't have DC's number, but I might get it from somebody just so I can send him this Cook Chef hat when he scores.
You're not getting my number, Crain.
I bet I can get your number. There's got to be some company Rolodex that I can get. I
posted that sheet like 100 times in there to get people to check it.
Yes. Okay. There we go. I'm getting DC.
I changed one of the digits. Don't worry.
I can see DC doing that.
Oh, 100%.
DC and Holden are most likely to change one digit.
Oh man!
I don't want to be in the same boat as Holden, so maybe I got to get the
right. That is the correct take. All right, let's talk.
Did you hear freaking Holden say if he comes to the March Madness party, he's looking for a hotel downtown because he's too good to stay anywhere near us?
Yeah, if Holden's coming, I'm staying home. So we'll see.
So wait,
we won't see him. He could come here, and we still won't see him. He'll be like downtown the whole week.
I don't know. I stayed at where did I stay? I stayed in Covington last time I was up there. I had some nice ass hotels, man.
Well, that's close to Covington.
Yeah, Covington's nice, man. Like I was at this nice hotel. I walked to this like real hole in the wall barbecue joint. They chilled with the owner for like half an hour. It was a good time.
Do you have any call outs yet for March, Crain? We got a lot of events being booked. You got to get on the books with somebody here.
What about a bench press contest with old DC? You might get my $100 back.
All right, that works for me.
Oh, just locked it in.
Oh man, oh man! I just realized I'm on a show with the two guys who have a number with me. I got a number for Tony. Tony owes me $100 for Isaiah Pacheco.
Oh,
DC,
I do owe you $100.
Yeah, this baby doll. This is the real print factory. Oh man, this is just beautiful. All right, $100 bench press competition.
Just like maxing out, or what are we doing? Just the most? We do need to get a full bench.
We gotta go NFL Combine style, 225 reps.
Can you do a 225? I was gonna say, are you over here doing 225? I might be in trouble if that's the case. If you're trying to do reps of 225, we might just be yeah, I might just have to give that.
We might tie it 0 with Kevin Durant.
Oh man, poor KD. Oh yeah, right. and by the way, DC, you and I already have a bet. Remember, we have ping pong bet.
Oh yes,
ping pong.
Yep, we got ping pong. So it's.
I'm gonna go all out this year. After we get past all this stuff, NFL play, I'm gonna get it all organized because we're renting this place this year. I'm gonna get it all out there. Ping pong table. I'm gonna get it all. It's gonna be
more games, the better, man.
Yeah, yep. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, Natisfy. Nobody's betting you in bench press. Get out of here. Like nobody's.
Yeah, I love the people. But I'm like trying to pick a fight with Siege and like professional boxers slide. I'll fight you. It's like, yeah, no shit, you will.
I was trying to challenge Tambo to a race, and you got like little fast dudes coming to like, I'll race you. Well, no shit, you'll race me. Of course.
You say boat sliding into the DMs.
Like, come on.
All right, guys, click that like button if you're enjoying the show. We enjoy doing it for you over here at Run Career Sports. Trying to get to 1,000 likes today. It helps us out when we get those likes. So click that like button. If you're watching, just do it. It's very quick. Little thumbs up helps us out. All right, Cleveland at
Is
Washington.
Bertha gonna show up, DC? Bertha's gonna be there for sure. I see Bertha like once a week.
We need to upgrade Bertha from the restaurant. She just needs to be at the party the whole time.
Oh, she's definitely getting invited one of the days for sure. As long as
Cleveland-
she doesn't get her feelings hurt with people calling her Bertha.
I don't
telling her that first.
Bertha seems like she's got some thick skin to me.
She definitely does.
Oh, man. Okay. I did not barely get up 135. What are you talking about? I did
Matty
10.
C, that wasn't me either. I didn't bet on that. Wasn't my picture. That was our boy Cam with 100K on TCU. I would never. I gamble a lot. I would never bet 100K on one game. I'll be honest. I'm
What's
not taking credit for it.
What's the most you've had in play on a slate?
I've played 100K on a slate, but I'm talking one game, like bet one game. I'm not betting 100K on a game. I would have to. At Super Bowl, I was pretty heavy, but I wasn't close to 100K. I probably had 50 or 60K.
Okay.
100K one bet, the big boy bet. That was not. I will not take credit for that. I was giving my boy Cam credit.
They have the spread or the money line?
The spread. It would have been a very.
So we didn't
tough
really have
loss.
to sweat it then.
No, there's no.
All these people too. That's another thing. That's what we do on this show. So I send that picture. You know how many people are like, "You must be down a lot to be able to bet 100K." Like, why do people always want to just throw something in there? All the little crap every time. I just don't get it. Like, stop being so negative. First of all, I can promise you, I've been around everyone, big gamblers, little gamblers, DK people, freaking everybody. If you go in and want to bet a playoff game, a huge game, they're taking your 100K. It's not like it's freaking who's the team you like, Crain, in Chicago? Who's your college team you always stroke to?
Southern Illinois University.
Yeah, it's not like I want to bet 100K
6 hours
on
south of
Southern Illinois. If you want to bet 100K on a playoff college, I guarantee they'll take it. So you guys are morons. I don't. Like, and what's your point anyways? Like, why say that? The dude bet 100K. He balled up. Like, why do you have to like? I just don't get it.
I saw people replying to you, Big T. Oh, posting someone else's screenshot for clout. It's like you need the clout for that.
I just literally don't get it, and I wasn't even doing that anyways. I was rooting him on. Like, I had the other team for like $2,000.
Yeah.
Like,
you literally posted your other bet like right before you.
You can't post anything without people like wanting to bring it. I just don't get it. Like, what are you doing?
People are assholes out there. Yeah, people are assholes. All right, let's talk Browns at Washington. 40.5 point total. Washington 1.5 favorites at home. Tony, chalk Brian Robinson. Yay or nay?
It's another interesting game, and it goes back to the point: who's playing for what. Cleveland has had a disaster of a season. They're eliminated. Washington obviously needs to win. They're 7-7. They're in the 7 seed right now. They got a whole list of teams chasing them. So it's another game where what's the incentive for Cleveland? How hard are they going to play? They've looked terrible. Washington's only -2 at home, which I just don't get it. I don't get the line. It was even higher, I think, earlier in the week. I just personally don't get it. I think Washington wins, but the line does scare me. Does this game just play ugly? Like, the total is low too. Brian Robinson, 5,200. Who was Algier, I think, was 53. I like Algier way more than Robinson. I don't know. Like, I think he's okay. I think people are overreacting, though, to having Dotson out, or not Dotson, Gibson out. I think people are overreacting to having him out. I think he's an okay play, but I don't know. I'm just a little uneasy about this spot. The guy I do likes Dotson. He's looked really good. And I think Wentz being in actually helps a guy like Dotson and McLaurin, for that matter, where he likes to take more chances, throw it deep. And I don't know. Dotson's looked really good to me. I'll take Dotson over Cooks for sure, even though his projection's lower. His ownership is way lower. I just think he's good. So I like Dotson, McLaurin. My boy, I know I take a lot of Wentz jokes, but I think you can play Wentz today, even though I've already taken like 9 L's on him. I
Stop it. Wait. Okay, I was messing with my lineup. Just Carson?
Taking Cooks out.
No, he's in there.
I mean, Wentz is 5,100 against a team that could realistically just quit. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm okay with wins. Plus, these guys, McLaurin and Dotson, are good receivers versus a Cleveland team. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you can play Brandon Cooks. I'll play these guys. Cleveland side, you can definitely play a unowned Nick Chubb. I mean, the dude is going to be 1% owned. Washington struggled a little bit with the run lately. I don't know. In a Millie tournament, which I'm playing this 2-2-2 today, a couple entries, I could see playing Chubb with a passing game of Washington on a team. I don't, and the ownership is so tiny that you can play all chalk with it. I don't think I've played Chubb all year, but I think it's a decent spot today.
DC, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I actually like this game more than
Me
than I
and
was.
DC I'm feeling good with DC riding with me today.
I mean, I'm in on Robinson. Like, he was in a strict timeshare with Antonio Gibson, like a true 50-50 thing. Gibson's out of there. Gibson had taken the passing game role after JD McKissick, right? They're kind of, third down specialist, 2-minute drill guy. He went down. Gibson took that role. Now Gibson's out. I mean, I think it's going to be close to 100% Robinson. I think he can catch passes. I don't think anyone's going to come in and take that role from him. Pretty good runner. Cleveland has the worst, one of the worst run defenses in football. Washington needs to win this game. I mean, they could just pound Robinson all game if it's finding success, and I think it might. So I do like him, but I think he will be very, very popular. I think this is going to be like a Jared Goff situation where he goes over whatever the projected ownership is for him. It's just too cheap. Matchup's too good. So and most people aren't going to want to play multiple commanders, right? For good reason. So if everybody's playing Robinson, nobody's going to play McLaurin and Dotson. I mean, Wentz is a bad real life quarterback, but he's not a bad quarterback for wide receivers, right? Because he'll throw the ball downfield. He's still got a strong arm. So I think Dotson, McLaurin, both interesting plays. I'll take the savings with Dotson. And then the Cleveland side, I mean, do we think Deshaun Watson is just dust forever for the rest of this?
I think he's dust for the rest of this year.
I've never thought he was good, just to throw my opinion out there.
Yeah, fair points. But if you look at these last two games, they're both played in like freezing, frigid conditions against really good pass defenses. I mean, the Saints game was just like unplayable passing conditions. So you throw that one out, I think. And then Baltimore has not given up points to really anybody for the second half of this year. The game before that, though, in Cincinnati, 42 pass attempts, 276 yards through the air. We know he can run. He's got really three guys, right, that are obvious pairings. Amari Cooper, Peoples-Jones, and Njoku are the only three guys he even throws the ball to. So I like quarterbacks where the pairing is obvious. So I'm a little bit in on Deshaun Watson and his weapons on this one. And then, the Washington side talked about that with Robinson, Dotson, and McLaurin. Really low total here, but I don't know. I think there could be a little bit of fantasy fireworks. So this one.
This does appear though, like I'm with DC. I'm definitely going to play a team or two like this in my big ones. But that low total, it does feel like a game where we like it and it just does nothing.
But we talk about, everybody looks at the totals, right? And nobody's going to play this game when they see that. Shit happens. You see it all the time. Every week in the NFL, you get games that go 15 points over the total. If
even more so late in the year, right? Because teams are going to quit. Stuff's going to snowball in some of these games.
Yeah, I think Watson and the offense, they got to try to figure it out before next year. So I think they're still going to play. It's the defense I'm worried about for Cleveland, which is obviously perfect for this game. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some scoring in here.
I don't understand the spread in total. The more I stare at it, I just literally don't get it.
What is it?
Funny.
It's just, Washington's -2. They have to win to get in the playoffs. Cleveland's dead, and the total's only 40. Like, if I was just doing it in my head, which obviously doesn't mean shit, I think it should be Washington like -4.5 or something.
45, right?
And like 45. Like that's what worries me though, that it's so far off my head what it should be. But
Yeah.
I do like it like DC.
In the chat, totally not the FBI says, "Stop being so negative," says the guy who hates America's favorite explosives.
I'm joking though. Like, I'm not bringing negativity to it. I'm still outside while people were watching them. I was just watching you.
Oh, so wait, hold on, wait. You enjoyed the fireworks, but you didn't you didn't chip
UFC.
in?
I didn't even watch them.
Oh, I thought you said you were outside enjoying the
watching
fireworks.
the UFC on the projector.
What, Crain, does Big T have to put on a blindfold during the fireworks since he didn't?
I mean, this is
without
just
my payment.
I mean, this is a little bit scandalous at this point. Like, I mean, there are kids involved. Why are you stealing from children? Why do you hate children, Tony?
Because I have 3.
See? God, I felt that. All right. Saints and Eagles, 41.5-point total. Click the like. Philadelphia, 5.5-point favorites in this one. We have no Jalen Hurts again. He's expected back next week. A little bit of ownership on Miles Sanders, but nothing too crazy in this game. DC, I'm going to kick it off with you here. Are we playing Miles Sanders? Are we fading him? Low on A.J. Brown, low on Devonta Smith. They've been crushing. I don't know. Yeah, I kind of don't hate this spot.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to go to Sanders. I get the play. He has had a few slate-breaking weeks, but going to be popular and just, I don't know, never gets targeted in the passing game, not that cheap. It's the Philadelphia passing attack that I like more. I actually think for the sakes of Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown, I think you can make the case that Gardner Minshew being the quarterback is better for those guys, right? Because Hurts can do so much damage with his legs, especially around the goal line. Minshew just not that threat. That I actually think the touchdown upside for the receivers is higher with Minshew in there. And listen, I mean, we saw Minshew do it already, right? In his only start against Dallas, one of the best defenses in the league in Dallas, threw for 355 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was not bad at all with Jacksonville, and now he's got an elite offensive line, elite weapons. Yeah, I'm in on A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. I think their price tags, both over 7K, is going to keep people off them, but Eagles need to win this game, and I think Minshew can sling it. So I like him a little bit, and I especially like both Brown and Devonta Smith. I think you could play Goddard as well. New Orleans side, less interested there. Do we know if Olave is going to play? I guess, yeah, expected to suit up.
He's expected to play.
Yeah, you could run it. Yeah. You could definitely run it back with him at 6,100, but the Eagles' pass defense pretty strong. I'm not playing Alvin Kamara. He looks so dusty this year.
That's another one of those guys that everybody gets 1 week, and then after that, you just never do it.
I played him last week, and he did get the touchdown, but man, he did not look good. I'm not going that direction. Eagles' passing attack here is where I'll attack this game.
DC, how are you? Or nope, Tony, how are you attacking this game?
Another game that is super interesting. Philadelphia has to win one of the last 2 games to lock up this 1 seed. You got to think they want to do it this week just to not have any
and then they can rest Hurts for another week, right? Get that shoulder fully healthy. So
and then they'll have the bye too. So I mean, he would have he's been off 1 week. So he's got like basically a full month off to get healthy, which obviously they want. Yeah, I can't play Miles Sanders, especially when he's popular. So I'm more on the DC side. These guys have shown upside all year through the passing game. New Orleans does need to win too. They're definitely still in the contention for this terrible division. But I mean, they're only 1 game out, and they play. I don't know. The Tampa plays Atlanta next week, but still, they can still get in if they win both games and some stuff happens. But I don't know. I kind of think Philly puts them away today. How many points they score is a different story. But if I'm going to it, it's definitely through the passing game. I probably wouldn't go crazy and like double stack it, but playing Gardner with one of those guys has shown upside all season long. So you have to like it. New Orleans side, these prices all look pretty fair to me. I still don't see a ton of points in this game all the way around. So I think I won't play any New Orleans, even if I play Minshew.
I think this game goes way under. Yeah. Like I think if
Philly gets up, they have no reason. That's my only worry. They have no reason to like.
I don't even think Philly blows them out. I think this game ends like 16-10 or something.
My problem with the game is I just don't see New Orleans putting up points.
Yeah. They're just pesky. That's what I mean. But they're pesky. Like I don't know. I think they keep Philly down. This was the quickest game for me to cross off on the whole.
It's definitely not my favorite, but I just have learned through the year, like, man, if you're playing more than a couple teams, You just have to at least play a little feeler out on Philly, because when they crush, they break the slate is the hard part. One thing I've tried to do better through the year, I always just go all in on spots, and that's why I do better at Showdown and stuff. But the people like Tambo that have crushed all year, they spread out more than me, and I just want to be better at that. Like, you don't have to go all in football. There's too much variance. And yeah, when you hit, it's fun. I mean, we've all three had huge NFL weeks at times, and it's fun when it hits. But man, all those other weeks when you're just dead because Philly goes off, I don't know. I want to spread around a little bit more.
Going all in seems fun when you're making your teams, and then it's like
it's fun when you hit.
It's like 7 minutes into the NFL slate, and AJ Brown catches a 60-yard touchdown, and you're like, well,
and you know you don't have the nuts right away. Whereas I don't know. I think that's definitely a leak in my game for NFL. I can't go all in like I do, and I have to fix that.
You know me, I was one of the first guys out there who were just like, keep a super tight core. I'm like, NFL slate, I'm playing like 36 people.
I still do like the
I do too.
Core. I just think you should like spread around with your quarterback combos.
It's definitely, I mean, it's definitely a higher variance strategy. That's for sure. And like,
if you're only playing a couple teams, it makes sense. But if you're playing a lot of teams, you got to spread it around.
I don't know, DC, you play that backup quarterback, and when it hits, you win all the money. All right, Broncos at Chiefs, 44.5-point total. Kansas City, 12.5-point favorites. And Mr. Always Mahomes, I'm going to go to you. Yeah, you can play him this week. I don't know who to play him with. I don't know. I'm not playing any Chiefs this week. It scares me, but I'm just not doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have the second highest implied team total on the
behind
entire
Detroit.
Yeah, and people aren't going to go there because they're scared of the game script, right? They're scared of, 12.5, 13-point line against the Broncos. But the Chiefs have, like, especially defensively, played down to their opponents. They've allowed pretty much everyone to score. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to be in on some Chiefs here. 8,500 for Mahomes is a little bit tough to stomach this week, but we talked about it. I mean, quarterback is thin. There's not very many guys with upside, and the Chiefs are going to score 4 touchdowns here, right? And it could easily be Mahomes that gets them all. It typically is, or it has been this year. So I like Mahomes, and pairing him up. I mean, it's been kind of simple all year. I've said it. The wide receivers for the Chiefs, I just can't get there. They just don't get enough volume in terms of targets. But yeah, Travis Kelce, absolutely in there. If he has a big game, which he does, I don't know, at least half the weeks, he can be a guy you need, because tight end is obviously pretty weak. So I'm in on the Mahomes to Kelce pairing. I like the Mahomes to Jerick McKinnon pairing too. McKinnon looks awesome out there, half the snaps, getting a ton of targets. And I mean, I think he's more likely to score on a reception than he is on the ground, right? But still, most people won't want to pair a quarterback and a running back. So I'm in on the Mahomes. I've played it a couple of weeks now. That Mahomes, McKinnon, Kelce stack, I think, is a good way to get a little bit contrarian. You can run it back. Do we have news on Jerry Jeudy? Not yet, I don't think. But if he's
I think he's going to be in. I think he's going to be in.
Yeah, I do like Cortland Sutton a little bit. 5,100. They're going to have to throw the ball. He's a big play guy. Has looked good this year, I think, despite the play of Russell Wilson. And, you know, if you're not on the Chiefs, if you're not on the Mahomes stacks, I know Big T's a hater, but Isaiah Pacheco, he's going to have a big game at some point. He's still cheap, 5,600, getting a ton of touches. He is like the worst back around the goal line that I've ever seen, though. He just cannot get in the end zone. But that's a thing that, you know, he looks bad there until he doesn't, right? Until there's a couple of holes and he runs a couple in. So if this game goes like the spread says it will, where, you know, Kansas City controls it, I think Pacheco will get 20 carries. I think they'll run him into the ground in the second half if they're able to do so, which they certainly might. So I'm in on Pacheco. You know, it's Pacheco and the Chiefs defense, or it's Mahomes and Kelce and McKinnon. I think it's pretty clear. I like Cortland Sutton either way. Yeah, I think this game, you know, you don't have to play it, but the plays in it, I think, are pretty obvious and look pretty good to me.
Yeah, somebody in the chat mentioned Chase Edmonds, and just don't play.
No.
Like just stop it. You're not playing Chase Edmonds. And if you are, you're losing money. So let's not do that. Tony, are you going to be playing any Chiefs today?
One of the hidden spots of the week, I think, is the Chiefs, because everyone's talking about the Monday night game. You got three powerhouses right now in the AFC, in my opinion. Everyone's opinion, really. Chiefs, Bills, Bengals. And they're fighting for that 1 seed. They can all three win the 1 seed, realistically. So the Chiefs obviously have a great path if they win the next two. Cincy maybe beats Buffalo, knocks them down a peg. A lot can happen. They need to win, though. They know that. Even if it's just for the 2 seed over the 3, they want that one home game over the other team, whoever the 3 seed is. So big games, they have to win. My only concern, again, is that when they're up 2 touchdowns, do they keep pushing? How long? But that goes to kind of the Pacheco point that you guys were talking about, where I don't like him. I don't think he's that good. But the game script is awesome. We watched Akers just destroy Denver last week. I don't know. I was on McKinnon the whole year. I shifted to Pacheco last week. It didn't work out. He didn't get there. But I still kind of think it's just one of these games, like DC said. He's going to get 3 touchdowns. Why can't it be this week? I love the price. I love the matchup. I love that they should realistically win by a couple touchdowns. And, yeah, I'm going to be on Pacheco, but I do think you can play Mahomes, Kelsey, like with the cheap values out there. I don't know. Mahomes, Kelsey on my non-Pacheco teams, they could score 2-3 touchdowns as well. So they have to be in your player pool. I think Kansas City handles them, but I do think Denver, they fired the coach. I think they show enough pride today to at least keep it close enough to get these Kansas City guys some points.
You like Cortland Sutton, Big T?
Yeah, I mean, you got to run it back with someone, I think. And this is one of the spots I would definitely run it back, just because for Kansas City to truly see upside, they have to at least get something from Denver. I mean, it can't be 31-3 or something for you really to hit upside. So, yeah, Sutton, I mean, Judy, if he's in there, I don't know who I like from the Denver side, but one of these guys.
It's Judy. If you like one guy from the Denver side, it's Judy. I know he's so much more expensive, but.
Yeah, I think you can do it, though, and I do like this spot because Denver got thoroughly embarrassed on a holiday that everyone watched. I just think they have to have some professional pride today and show up versus Kansas City. And
they've been on prime time every week. Like
but they played solid on D every week except last week. That was the only week they were embarrassing.
The
offense has been embarrassing, not the D, though.
I think they're going to be embarrassing the last 2 weeks.
They could be, for sure, but that you can still get there with Kansas. Either way, I like the Kansas City guys. I haven't liked them that much this year, but they have to win. They can't lay us. Not that they could even lose to Denver with Mahomes, but they have to. They don't even want it to be close.
That's the kind of thing you say right before they get upset.
I think Denver plays with pride today. I'm just saying it.
All right.
They fired the coach. I think they play good today.
Fading the Chiefs, like when you look at the spread, seems good. If you turn on this game, though, and Mahomes is marching up and down the field, is it going to put you?
The Chiefs have to win. And
yeah, I mean, you could definitely get the Mahomes. I want to win the MVP game. Like that could 100%.
It's every game, man. He loves playing. Like he just goes out there and does his job every single week. Like I don't know. I think just because they're favored by an extra 6 points, than they are typically. And people are jumping off the train. Yeah, the more we talk about it, I got to get on the always Mahomes train.
All right, I understand. Well, you always Mahomes, always click that like button. Helps us out over here at Run Pure Sports. So click the like. We're trying to get to 1,000, Tony. I know you're not on top of it, but I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to do it slowly so you can find the window. How many likes are we at right now?
It's always up, Crain. The whole time, 869, baby. I don't have to pull it up. I got it on my screen.
All right. Well, 869. We're trying to get to 1,000.
69 in the number.
Yeah, I mean, life is good. If we don't get any more likes, that's okay.
Hungover Hoop's watching this show, and he's grimacing at the likes. Come on.
Okay, hungover Hoop is asleep. There is not a chance. There is not a chance that Hungover Hoop is watching this show. No. Hungover Hoop, if you're in the chat, first off, click the like button. But let us know.
The only way is if someone if Helmet behind the text him get in the chat. He's definitely hungover today.
I was texting Helmet last night about little Michigan and Ohio State football. All right, let's.
It was a tough seed for
it was. Yesterday. Hey, I'm a big Michigan fan too, and it was beautiful just to see Ohio State just get.
I hope we get some games today that are as good as those two.
Oh, good luck.
Not a chance.
Those two games were absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Miami at New England, 40.5-point total. The Patriots 2.5-point favorites here. And guys, we're a little behind on the show. We still have 6 games left, and it's 10 o'clock in Central Time. So I have a good feeling we're about to catch up a little bit. Tony, Dolphins at Patriots, Teddy Bridgewater in at quarterback for Miami. Ramondre Stevenson maybe on the other side. I know Jacoby Myers will get a little bit of ownership. What are we doing with this game?
So I think Teddy, I've always thought Teddy's better than Tua. So I actually think they're going to get lucky by Tua being concussed for the 9th time this year and having to sit out. So I don't know. Again, this slate has a lot of chalk and then some ways you can get off. I don't totally hate playing Teddy with one of these stud receivers, Tyreek or Waddle. I mean, literally no one's playing Waddle. We've seen he's 7,500. You're telling me I can play Teddy at 5K, Waddle at 7,500, and get them both 1% owned? I think there's upside there. I do, and that's how you win a tournament. You can play all chalk with that duo, and it could easily get there. It definitely could. And Tyreek, same thing. Tyreek will at least get some ownership. Not a lot, but more than – I mean, Waddle is going to be 1% owned. There's no way he's not at 7,500. So I think that's a decent way to go. In New England, there's no way I would play anybody except for Ramondre. I don't love him either. New England feels like a dead team to me. I don't know. They've looked terrible. Mac Jones is terrible. Miami needs to win to get in the playoffs or even have a chance to – what are they right now? They're the 7th seed right now. And New England's 1 game back, so this game is huge for playoff implications. I like the Miami side. And do I have to run it back with Stevenson? Probably a better roster construction, and he gets so many targets. But he keeps fumbling and stuff too. Who knows if he'll just get benched by – Bill just getting mad. So I don't know. I like the Miami side a lot, though, from just picking one guy.
Do you see any interest here for you?
I like Jacoby Myers a little bit. 5K, finally fully healthy, back to 100% snap share last week. Mac Jones seems to like him, and they're down Devontae Parker. You know, like the receivers for Miami, 5K Myers. Kendrick Bourne had a big week last week. He's 3,500. I mean, yeah, I think you can go here, and I'm with Big T. I don't think like Teddy and Tua to me are just like equivalent. They're like the same player more or less. Tyreek Hill, we have seen a couple games where Teddy started and he peppered Tyreek Hill. So yeah, I'm in on Tyreek despite the high price tag. And you know, if we go back to kind of spreading it out, Waddle's one of those guys like 1% owned. Does he have a better than 1% chance of ending up on the optimal? Of course he does. Of course he does, right? There's just no question about it. So you don't have to go crazy with them, but if you're playing multiple teams, yeah, I think you want to sprinkle in Waddle. I certainly prefer Tyreek Hill, but that's the general consensus anyway. I'm not going to play Stevenson with Damian Harris back, the fumbles. He doesn't seem fully healthy. I don't know. I'm just not going to Stevenson. But yeah, the Miami guys, Hill and Waddle, I think are both good plays. And I like the New England receivers a little bit, mostly because they're so cheap. But I don't know. I think we could see a decent amount of points in this one.
Chat says Mac Jones ceiling game incoming, which is like 18 points.
Don't play Mac Jones, but I think you can play the cheap wide receivers.
All right. Well, another game the chat was talking about the ceiling game coming, the Panthers at the Bucks. And I have had a few people reach out to me privately this week and say, you know whose props look good? You know who I want to play this week? Tom bleeping Brady. 40.5-point total. Tampa Bay, 3.5-point favorites. Tony, is there any world that you're playing Tom Brady this week?
No, there's no world where I haven't played him all year. He's looked absolutely terrible, and all he can do is dump it off. Carolina's been way better than people think. I still think Carolina can win this game today, and this game is massive for the playoffs, obviously. If Carolina wins both, I think they're in. They just have been better. They have. The last time these two teams play, they just destroyed them. I don't know. I think Carolina might put them out of their misery. His face, I mean, what is wrong with Brady's face? Like, it gets skinnier every time we even look at it. It's like going to be indented here.
It's like overly chiseled, which is I didn't know that was
like
a thing.
goes inward though. Yeah. There's like a hole in his cheeks. It's like, I don't know, man. You need to filter some meat or something, Tom. But I don't know. There's no scenario that I could play Brady though. If I wanted to get exposure to it, it would just be through the dump offs because that's what he's going to throw. That's why Evans hasn't been good all year because he's not throwing it deep. Evans has been terrible. But what happens is, I mean, Uncle Lenny catches 10 dump offs every week because that's all Brady can throw. And I don't like Lenny, but man, if you're going to just throw 10 dump offs every single week to the 275-pound running back that is slower than me, then I should take the freaking dump offs. And Godwin too. Like, I don't think these guys have ceilings, but I do think they have floors because they just catch so many freaking dump offs. And I don't really want to play them, but if I had to, I would get exposure through there. And the Carolina side, I mean, dare I say, Sam Darnold's looked pretty good. I mean, he's looked better than a lot of guys that, I mean, I bet the Jets wish they had him for a few of those games. He's looked good. The system looks good. DJ Moore looks like a good receiver. Chuba's looked good. Foreman, I don't know. I'm just higher on Carolina than the field. That being said, I do think this game plays out low scoring and tight and, I don't know, 17-13 type game. So I won't have much here, but I do think Carolina could win this game.
DC, any interest here for you?
No, I mean, I don't even play Tom Brady on Showdown, so I'm certainly not playing him on the 13.
That's the ultimate slap in the face, not playing him in Showdown.
Yeah, so I'm fading Tampa Bay. Fournette would be the guy that I would use for all the reasons Tony mentioned. And then Carolina, I think DJ Moore is the play to go to. But, I mean, both these teams use pretty close to a 50-50 backfield split. I think it's going to be low scoring. I just think there are better spots. So not a lot here for me.
All right, let's move on. Guys, click the like button. We're trying to get to 1,000. We are at
927.
927. Come on. We got what?
We got 1,000. I never asked for likes. Get us to 1,000 people. Oh, and Crain. I mean, that get us to 1,000 so Crain can afford internet too on the old MediaCom. DC, have you ever seen anyone just freeze more than Crain does with the MediaCom?
Well, I used to be the king of dropping off shows back before I got a new computer, so I can't talk too much.
Was it the computer problem with your?
It was, yeah. I didn't realize, but yeah, people. But since I got the new one, no. But yeah, sad to lose Crain. I guess.
What game was he talking about?
I think we're on to the afternoon games at this point. So I can take over. We'll go to San Francisco and Las Vegas. Talking about a team that has maybe quit. I think the Raiders are the team most likely to just lay a complete egg and not show up for this one. Bench Derek Carr, 49ers, 9.5-point favorites. They've still got plenty to play for. 41.5 total. The Carr situation is a strange one. I'm not sure if you followed it, Tony, but basically his contract becomes guaranteed, like a $30 or $40 million contract next year if he got hurt. So that is the reason he's not playing, which, I mean, the locker room knows that. And I think Derek Carr is kind of respected there. Devontae Adams was brought in, playing with his college teammate. The Raiders just seem like a team that is complete dust going up against the top defense in the league in San Francisco. So, yeah, I think the 49ers roll here. And sorry to take your job, Crain, but welcome back.
Hi.
For you.
Yeah, that was great. You know what? My internet went out, and I took it.
We can finally get some Crain takes because it happens every week. You know, even when I'm not on the show, I always watch. I'm always in the chat. And by the end of the show,
do you click the like button?
Click the like button. I do click the like button. But Crain, my biggest criticism of the show, by the end of the show, I still have no idea who you are playing. You know, I know who Hoop's on. I know who.
It's an impressive talent, isn't it?
But I have no idea who Crain is on. So I took your role. You're now the analyst for Raiders and 49ers. Talk to me, Crain. Who you on here?
Okay, so Christian McCaffrey, I'm concerned that they're going to start pulling him back a little bit. So I'm probably not paying. I can't pay $9K for McCaffrey. The value's at running back this week, so that's who I'm playing. I feel like I'm doing like my XM hit now. This is great. George Kittle, like, I think he's fine. I'm surprised he's only going to be 10%. He's 5,900. Brock Purdy very clearly likes to throw to him. And then also you look at Kittle as a guy that since Debo went out, Kittle's been getting a ton of targets. So everything sort of lines up for Kittle. That said, you want to hear my Tony's going to hate this and DC's going to hate this play of the day?
Oh,
it's not a receiver.
MediaCom, kick back in, baby.
So Brock Purdy's like last pick of the draft, 7th round guy, and he's looked great and everything. I'm a believer, though, in pedigree with guys like this, and I'm a believer that these guys fall back down to earth, and when he falls, it's going to be hard. I'm actually playing some Raiders defense this week.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
I know. I told you. I know you're going to hate it. I can't believe that you're throwing me into this role in this game because I knew it was.
Okay, Crane's back hosting before the next game.
Your takes are so bad. You got your job back.
I'm playing Raiders. I'm playing him in my main team.
Oh
God. Crain.
They better be 2K when I look. Please
They're
tell
20.
me
They're like 2,200, 2,300.
Oh my God. I mean, it's tough. It takes a lot for me to make fun of any defense. I mean, I played Houston versus like the Chiefs, like in a live final. So like,
okay, there's no way that Houston against the Chiefs is worse than the Raiders against Brock freaking
the Raiders
Purdy.
have
It's
totally
Brock Purdy.
quit. Like they're not gonna try. The coach, DC, while you were on the MediaCom break, like they've quit. They benched Derek Carr. He went home crying. He's not even going to be there. Why? San Fran might be the best team in football.
Yeah.
What are we doing? What is the purpose?
It only takes one pick six, and Brock. If
they're not even going to have to throw the ball, is the problem.
No, they still will.
Oh,
horrible take, Crain. Come on.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
I don't understand. I know. Like, why though? Why are we doing it? Like, just for fun?
Because it is fun, and because the Brock Purdy blow-up game is coming.
But we'll wait till the playoffs or something when he plays an actual.
I'll do it then too.
And why do we not think he's good anyways? Because looks good to me.
Look, yes, he's looked fine. He's still a seventh. He's still a seventh round rookie quarterback. Those guys always fall down to
freaking Brady.
Really? You're going to compare him to Brady now?
I actually think this will be the take people can look back and laugh. But if he somehow makes a run this year, gets all that false confidence, he's in a Shanahan system, great defense, great coaching, great players around. Same thing happened to Brady. That's all I'm saying. The confidence goes a long way. I know it's a reach. Obviously, I'm not saying he's freaking Tom Brady. I'm saying everything can align.
He can easily win the Super Bowl this year, Brock Purdy.
And then what happens when he wins the Super Bowl? He's got so much false confidence, and he's in a great system.
Do you think if he wins the Super Bowl this year, do they go back to Trey Lance next year?
Hell no. Are you? No. Hell no.
Really? I don't think it's that
this good, and then they go win a Super Bowl. There's no chance they go.
Crain, I'll take my $100 I owe you. Brock Purdy starts week 1 for the 49ers next year.
That's a long time to remember a bet. I'll just throw.
Yeah, that's. Hold on. Is Lance going to be healthy by then?
Yeah, he's supposed to be.
Okay, then I'll take. Okay,
Neither one of you is going to remember this bet anyway. So just.
I still remember.
I don't have to pay Crain for another 9 months by making this bet. So
that's true. No, I'd say I got to get that DC bucks. I got to hang it on the wall. Like I want to frame that thing. That's how that's going to go. All right, can I get back to hosting now so I have to stop saying stuff like Raiders defense? All right, see, that's what I have to do, guys. If you want to stop somebody, if somebody's like tries to give you extra responsibilities and you want to stop them real quick, just shock the hell out of them and they will pull back so fast and you can go back to doing easy things like hosting these shows on Run Pure Sports.
I want to hear Tony's takes on the 49ers offense.
Oh, I didn't. I didn't know we hadn't talked to Tony.
I was too rattled by what just took place that I don't love the Niners in this spot. I think they just go out and just get the job done. Get a dub. They need to win for the playoffs. McCaffrey, 9K. The positive for him is if the Rams really have quit. I mean the Raiders have quit, that he could crush. But man, I just don't see them pounding him into the ground. And I don't know. I just can't. I like other spots more. I think they just handle them though and win. I don't know, 27-6 or something. Where the Raiders are done to me, though. I mean, like DC said, they benched their dude. I know I make jokes about him crying and all this shit, but they like him. The team likes Carr. Whether he sucks or not, that's a different point. I think he sucks. He's always had a lot of guys, but they like him. They were playing for him. Devontae came for him. They liked him there. I do like the take that, man, who was it on that? It might have been ODB or someone on the take that said Rodgers to the Raiders next year, and I think that would be awesome because they got a lot of good players. I could see Rodgers
in the dome. Yeah.
I could see it. I could see it happening. I like that.
All right, Jets at Seahawks, 42.5 point total. The Jets 1.5 favorites on the road here, and if Jared Goff wasn't a thing, I would want some Mike White, but unfortunately, DC, now that you have to get back to the analyst role, Mike White he's 200 cheaper than Jared Goff, and I just can't play him, even though I do like him. What do you think about this Jets offense?
Yeah, I mean, I think White and Goff are similar plays. Obviously, Detroit with the higher total, but White's looked pretty good. I mean, especially, I don't think White is necessarily the play, but I mean, you have to like Garrett Wilson, who's been awesome. I think he's a future star, and when White's been under center, he's crushed. So yeah, he'll be popular 5,500, but I think he's a really good play. I think you can go to the other Jets wide receivers too. They're both very cheap. Corey Davis and Elijah Moore, 3,700, 3,500. Why not? I think this game could potentially shoot out the Seahawks. Both these teams, right, fighting for their playoff lives. Seahawks get back probably Tyler Lockett. They'll have Metcalf, Lockett out there. You know, we've seen Geno Smith put up big games. I know the Jets defense is good, but I think that will be more to shut down the running game. I think Seattle will have to throw it. Yeah, I kind of like both passing offenses in this one. Obviously, Garrett Wilson leading the way, but I think you can go to Metcalf and Lockett or the cheap Jets wide receivers. Even Conklin at 2,900, I think is a decent play. So yeah, I like this game quite a bit.
Yeah, if I'm going with the Seahawks, I actually like Lockett more than Metcalf this week. And it's I can't make.
I assume Sauce Gardner will be on Metcalf on the outside.
That's my assumption too.
Yep.
So, which to me just opens up things for Lockett. I like him. I can't afford him. You know, I've got other priorities. You know, if I'm playing Justin Jefferson, it's tough for me to spend up. You know, if I'm playing Anna Monra, if I'm playing both those guys, it's tough to spend up for Lockett too. And Garrett Wilson, of course, I like him at 5.5, a little chalky, but you can't argue with his connection with Mike White and just the overall talent. And plus, he's probably want to get revenge for the Ohio State butt whipping last night. By butt whipping, I mean last second field goal miss. Tony, talk to me about this game.
Yeah, you guys are right. I mean, it looks like a good game. Both teams, I believe, still have a chance to get in the playoffs. So a lot of meeting here. Two defenses that I think could be exposed to a point. I mean, the Jets D is really good in certain areas, but this is a road game. The spread's a little lower. I don't respect Seattle that much as far as an actual team. I thought the Jets might come out slightly more of a favorite. I think the Jets just handle them here, though. I'm just not a huge fan of Seattle. Mike White, great play. Like you guys said, same play as Goff. Not quite as good of an atmosphere on the road, not indoors, but same price point, same receiver type skill set that he can go to. Garrett Wilson looks like one of the best plays of the slate. He's going to be owned like it too. Going to be massively, massively owned, but just a great spot for him. And then you got these secondary pieces too that you can double stack. Elijah Moore's look pretty good, and he's 3,500. I don't know, like, man, all of a sudden if you play him and Dortch, I mean, that you can play whoever else you want. Yeah. And I think both of those guys have realistic ceiling. Like, even if you say you play Goff with those two and you don't play Mike White, I don't know. It feels like you got a lot of upside for cheap with those guys. So I like that. Zonovan Knight is only 5,100. I haven't played him. I kind of think he sucks, but he has been better when Mike White's been in there, just because they pass more and they're better with the passing game. So the defense has to respect it. And Seattle sucks against the run. So I don't want to play Zonovan Knight, but man, he's 5,100 against a team that I think can't stop the run. And they're going to have to respect his passing game. And it's a little bit of leverage off Garrett Wilson, or you could just play both of them. But I don't know. Zonovan Knight's one of my sneaky guys that I'm going to play. I'll probably regret it because I think he sucks. But, man, the matchup, just pure matchup, it looks like the total nuts to me at 5,100. So I like – what's that?
I was just saying, we talk about, pivoting off the chalk. Like, he's a direct pivot off of Algier and Brian Robinson.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Tony, how do you rank those three guys?
I mean, I would probably rank Zonovan last as far as just plays, but once you factor in ownership and stuff, and how many times have people been burned by this guy? I mean, He's gone for 2 points the last 2 weeks. He was mega chalk 2 weeks ago.
6 carries for -2 yards.
Yeah, I mean, people are not going to want to click that button, and I do get it. I understand it, but we're playing tournaments here. We want to win tournaments and win a lot of money when we're right. Believe me, more than anyone, I don't want to play this guy because I think he sucks. But when I just look at the numbers and I just look at the price and I look at the matchup and the leverage, I just think he's a really good play. So you guys can talk me out of it. And then I'm with you guys on the Seattle side, though. I like Lockett more than DK, like you guys said. Tougher matchup for DK, in my opinion. I think you could play Kenny Walker, too, just because of that. But I don't think you need it. There's just better plays, and I doubt I go there. So it'd be Lockett for me. I do like the Jet side a lot, though, with you guys.
All right, guys, we got 2 games left. We're trying to get to 1,000 likes. Tony, are we close?
Yeah, we're over, baby.
Hey, we're over. We did it. All right. Congratulations, everybody. That means you're going to get our plays of the day. And DC, I might even give mine. That way you know who I like after a show. Well done. All right. We have one other game. This is a game, the total isn't as high as the Bears and the Lions, but it's still the second highest total on the slate. It's Vikings and the Packers, 48.5-point total. Green Bay Packers are 3-point favorites. And guys, I'm kind of excited about this spot because Justin Jefferson can't get owned. Like, he's going to have, like, he'll be around 20 or so. But to me, that is just not nearly enough ownership. You know, the whole, Jair Alexander called him out. And Jair's going to, like, Justin Jefferson's the best receiver in football. I don't think that's a hot take. And he's 9,500. It's a little bit uncomfortable paying that price tag for a receiver. You know, that's the price tag usually reserved for a guy like Christian McCaffrey when he was getting every carry. DC, are you possibly fading Justin Jefferson today?
No, you can't pick Justin Jefferson. I mean, best receiver in football. How about best receiver of all time? I think that's fair to say for Justin Jefferson. The dude is just absolutely sick. Can do. It's crazy about Jefferson.
How dare you disrespect your boy Randy Moss? It just crushed for your team.
Yeah. Well, Vikings got a pretty good history with the receivers with Moss.
Dude,
Stephon Diggs was awesome, and Justin
Carter.
Jefferson, man. The crazy thing about Jefferson is, like, most of these wide receivers, you know, Randy Moss is like the deep ball guy, right? You get Moss. Jefferson doesn't even have like one thing that he's better than everyone else at. It's just the whole package with him. He can literally do it all. Even when they do double coverage, it just doesn't work with them. His route running is so smart. There's just no shutting him down. So you have to love Jefferson here at the $9,500 price tag, and you can afford him. There's good cheap running backs. We talked about Dortch, Elijah Moore. You can definitely get him in there, which I think you want to do. This game, both teams, Green Bay has to win, right? Fighting for their playoff life. And then, Minnesota can still get the 1 seed, 1, 2, and 3 all in play for Minnesota. So they're still playing hard. Jefferson needs to average, I think 109 yards per game to get to 2,000. I think he gets there. I think it starts today. So, yeah, I'm in on Jefferson. Packers side is interesting, too, because the Vikings have been torched through the air by especially perimeter wide receivers. Their outside cornerbacks are awful. If Watson misses, which I think he will, Alan Lazard looks like a good play. Even Romeo Doubs at 4,700 looks good. I think you can play Aaron Rodgers. And then, Dalvin Cook. He's pretty dusty, but awesome matchup here. 7K. I don't think I would play him with Jefferson, but I think both guys look pretty good. So, yeah, this game, another one that could go absolutely crazy. I mean, we've seen it with Vikings games all year, right? It's like half their games just go absolutely nuts. Crazy stuff happens, and you get some giant fantasy scores. So absolutely in on this game.
I do like Dobbs. It's like I wish this game wasn't later because we might not get the Christian Watson news till after the 1 p.m. games have started. So it's struggle because if I was going to play Dobbs, it would be Cooks in my lineup that I would replace him with, which obviously I
really think Watson's going to sit. I mean, he's like a pure speed guy, and he's got a hip injury. It's just not what you want. And he's got a history of missing games too. So, yeah, I do like Lazard and Dobbs if he's out.
Tony, are you fading Justin Jefferson?
Haven't faded him all year, and I won't be starting now because he just keeps crushing for me. So I haven't been right about a ton the last 10 weeks or so. I've got beat up in NFL, but one thing I have been right, just keep playing Jefferson. He's been unowned too, like every week. This week he won't be because there's value out there, but I'm playing him. He's the only one from Minnesota, though, that I like a lot, which makes it easy, honestly, because I can just play Jefferson. And the Green Bay side, both these teams need to win. Green Bay needs to win. I mean, no one wants to face this team. I'll tell you that right now. If they somehow win like 5, 6, 7 in a row, whatever it is, to get in the playoffs, people don't want to see this team. They got good players still. If you have Aaron Rodgers, you got good enough players around him. In the NFC, too, there's no team they can't beat. I'll just say that. There's no team that they literally can't beat. So I like that. I think Green Bay plays good today. And I actually like the uncertainty around this situation with Watson, because I just think Lazard is a better play. They were just in prime time. I can't remember, Sunday or Monday night. Watson was crushing in the first half, but then he pulls up with the injury. I don't see any way he's 100% today. You can play Lazard and Dobbs 5,400 and 4,700 with Rodgers, who needs to win. How many times have we seen Rodgers in these spots? He just crushes the infamous quote, like, relax, blah, blah, blah. He has a chance to get back in the playoffs and make a run here. I love Rodgers today with these guys. I hope Watson the news doesn't break till as late as possible. Because
hold on, because Nate's Fight in the chat says Watson, if acted, will be used on third down only.
Yeah, well, that's kind of my point anyways. Like, I don't see any way he plays a huge role today, which just opens up these other two guys at these prices. You can double stack. I mean, that's a build right there. Rodgers, Lazard, Dobbs, Jefferson. All your receiver spots are there, and you just play your favorite running backs in other spots. That's a roster construction I really like. Could even end up being one of my main teams. I love this spot. I think the Packers score points, and what's better than playing Jefferson against anybody, especially at 9,500, where he'll be 20-25%, but no one has more upside than this guy.
You hit on those early plays, and you got the Jefferson coming back in the afternoon. You're rubbing your hands together, man.
Like, you play your running backs and your D, your tight end early, and somehow they all get there. Imagine if you're sitting there with all those guys doing good, and you're sitting on this stack. You're going to feel very, very good.
Absolutely.
You're even going to feel better if you have the Raiders defense coming up.
Oh, God.
No.
He goes, oh, no. I will say, Tony, that, like, this is making me want to play that Packer stack. I think everything you're saying
What the price is too?
sense.
Rodgers is only $6K. He's not even that much more than these other guys. And then and another topper, I don't know what the deal is with Aaron Jones right now. He's just not playing that much. So
he's got to have a secret injury, right? Like,
it reminds me, who it reminds me of is Gurley that one year, where no one really knew what was happening, and he just didn't play all year really. In the Super Bowl, he was getting half work. And then he was just never in football again after that. Like, I don't know what the injury was, his leg or something, but something had to happen to this guy.
Yeah, I mean, something.
Why do they not just say it, though? They just don't want people to know, because he still gets some work.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be a little bit banged up. And, he's got a really good backup in A.J. Dillon. That helps, too, that you don't have to let him force Aaron Jones to shoulder a lot of the load. All right, last game on the slate, Rams at Chargers, 41.5-point total. The Chargers, 6.5-point favorites at home. DC, I don't really like anything here. What about you?
Yeah, fuck the Chargers. I'm not playing the Chargers.
All right, that's done. Moving on.
I do like Cam Akers, though. I mean, he's taking over the lead role.
Yeah.
Like, crazy story with him, right? Coming back from the Achilles, then he demands the trade, and now the Rams season is over, but Cam Akers, back from the dead. It's like the gif with the Undertaker coming out of the coffin with Cam Akers. I mean, how can you not like him? This Chargers run defense is awful. Akers getting all the work, and the Rams, they're playing with pride right now. There's just no for the most part. Obviously, have had a couple bad games, but yeah, I'm in on Akers. I'm not playing the Chargers. Someone else can go there.
Tony, are you going to be the one that goes to the Chargers?
I mean, they cost me a lot of money over the last 2 months. They just never get there. I'm with DC. I feel like I've been riding with DC the whole show. I like that. Maybe we'll have a good day today, but I can't do it. I'm sure one of these weeks they will get there, but they just haven't. And the prices are higher. I just can't do it. I don't see it at all. I could play Akers, but man, there's a lot of good running back plays today. I don't need it, but if I landed on Akers, I have no problem. He looked good last week. I'm so tilted that he broke that slate with him and Higbee. If him and Higbee ever are
Higbee combined for 80 fantasy,
I just have zero chance of getting money back on those slates. There's just no way. So I don't know. I'm kind of on Akers a little bit, but with you guys, I just can't play the Chargers. So if they're the winner, I'm just losing.
Yep, that's how I feel too. Like, this game is just, and I'm with you on Akers. Like, it's just,
how do you not throw a touchdown for 2 weeks when you're Herbert? Like, that's impossible.
My problem with Akers is that I just like other guys in that price range more. And the other guys I like are a little bit cheaper. Like
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll land on him, but if I landed on him, I wouldn't be scared of it. I think he's a decent play.
Hey, DC, somebody in the chat is upset that you used a cuss word.
Yeah. Fuck them.
That's
they haven't listened to freaking JSU and these guys to cuss every word.
I said, I was like, maybe this show isn't for you. Yeah. Maybe take a break. But
I waited 90 minutes to drop.
You did wait 90 minutes. Like in my mind, you have like a little notepad that just says, when we get to the Chargers, fuck the Chargers. And that's all it says.
Can you imagine getting offended when someone cusses, to where you get upset?
Yeah, it's bad juju, man. Bad juju. We're all adults here. We can say what we want. All right, let's get on to the plays of the day. We hit 1,000 likes. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate you doing that for us. Mom's Basement, play of the day. DC, you're up.
Yeah, might be stealing Big T's here, but he's got plenty to pick from. I'm going to the Packers, Allen Lazard, whether or not Christian Watson plays, perimeter wide receiver, crushing the Vikings out there every single play, and a big play threat. I think we see a shootout between the Vikings and the Packers. Allen Lazard, 100 yards and getting in the box today. So he's the Mom's Basement play of the day.
Man, you screwed me up because mine was going to be the other receiver in that same game or in that same on that same team.
Yeah.
All right, Big T, play of the day.
I mean, are you gonna play should we just play the whole stack on our
Yeah,
team?
let's do it.
Yeah, okay. Justin Jefferson is not allowed. You're not allowed to play of the day, Justin
who
Jefferson.
Who did I say last week when I was looking at it?
It might have been Jefferson.
It was someone. It was some really good guy. My play. This is gonna be ugly. And I hate myself for it, but I feel better when I give a low owned play, and I talked it up hard during the show. So I'm going Zonovan Knight, under 10% owned versus Seattle's rush D, 5,100. It's ugly, but that's what these plays are supposed to be. A little bit lower owned. I can't come on it. Like Crain said, I can't give a couple of my favorite plays are higher owned guys. So I'm going with the one low owned guy that I know for sure I like, Zonovan Knight, even though it's ugly.
In lockstep with Big T all show, and then he drops Zonovan Knight as the play of the day.
We can't agree on everything. That wouldn't be fun.
All right, my play of the day. You know what? I'm going back and forth. You know, Romeo Dobbs was.
You do not.
No. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine. That would be really funny. But no. My play. I was going to go with Romeo Dobbs. He's up there, but I think I'm going to go with the right game where everybody's going to play a quarterback, but I'm going to play the other quarterback. I'm going to go with Justin Fields. All the upside in the world against Detroit. You spend up to be different at quarterback. Everybody's going to play Goff. And look, I think Goff is the best point per dollar play on the slate. But Justin Fields, he's got 40-point upside. And if he gets you 40, you're going to need him. And against this Detroit Lions defense, I think he might get there. So Justin Fields is going to be my play of the day. DC, did I give you enough? Do you know who I like now?
You did. I can make my Crain lineup now.
Hey, Justin Fields and Raiders defense, baby. That's all you need.
I'll find a new defense, but yeah.
Hey, that's your loss. I'm telling you, Brock Purdy's going to have.
When they score today, we're going to get just torn. He's going to find your number. We're going to get all kinds of pictures.
I'm going to get a fucking text from Crain. It's going to be a bad day.
It might even be a Brett Favre picture. He might just send us the meat.
We got to get off here, guys. Thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate you. We got up to a lot coming up soon. For Tony, for DC, for Helmet Behind the Scenes. Happy New Year, everybody. I'm Eric. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later. Peace.